It can be difficult for a video game sequel to capture the same spark as the original title, adding mechanics that enhance the gameplay, graphical improvements without changing the aesthetics of the universe, or continuing the story with a purpose and meaning. It is a true challenge. In my humble opinion, Mass Effect 2 encompasses all of those features of a great sequel, even going beyond my expectations of what this galaxy could hold and what you could explore. The various characters you meet on Shepard's journey are intriguing, filled with complex backstories and motivations that have tangible effects throughout the game. Upgrading your character and squad allowed for smoother dynamic gameplay, lending itself to intense shootouts and strategic choices all the way until the final mission. The graphical enhancements blew my mind compared to the first game. Interior designs told stories. Exterior designs held wonder and inspiration. There were moments adventuring where I just had to stop and marvel at what BioWare accomplished visually. And to do all this while extending the great story from Mass Effect 1, with characters, references, player choices having a genuine impact on the galaxy. These things gave Mass Effect 2 an ambiance and feeling I rarely see in other video game franchises. Impressive continuity. But is Mass Effect 2 a perfect sequel? Is it even a perfect game? Well, let's find out. Importing my save file from the first game, I was happy that my previous choices were confirmed twice. Once by a quick text menu briefly detailing pivotal moments during Mass Effect, and a little later on by an impressive comic book style recap. Before we get into that, the game starts with a cutscene where we meet the Illusive Man and Miranda. The two are discussing Shepard's previous victories and continued battle against the Geth, but allude to one of the major themes in the first game. There is a bigger threat in our galaxy. The two know about the Reapers, and say that Cerberus, the shadowy organization which you can encounter in the first game, is the only way to stop the Reaper threat. Miranda makes it seem like their organization is not trusted in the galactic community, probably for good reason and especially by the Council, but there could be a way to remedy their image. Commander Shepard.
But he's just one man. If we lose Shepard, humanity might well follow.
Then see to it that we don't lose him.
Well, that's ominous. We get our text briefing about the events after Sovereign's attack on the Citadel and how the galactic community is struggling to rebuild. I mean, they did a good job of fixing those trees in the council chambers like an hour after the battle. Regardless, the player learns that the Alliance fleet was decimated by its heroic saving the council and killing Sovereign. Unfortunately, even having a true Reaper in the Citadel didn't get the Council off their bureaucratic you-know-whats. Instead of addressing the 50,000-year-old sentient doom machine in the room, the Council has instead blamed the whole thing on the Geth and Saren and has put Shepard on a new mission to wipe out the remaining packets of Geth resistance. Now, if any of this sounds confusing or you have no idea what I'm blabbering on about, the link to my Mass Effect retrospective is down below. We will do a quick recap in about 2 minutes, but it won't fully capture everything we covered in the previous video. On board the Normandy, we see the familiar faces of Navigator Pressly and Joker. Pressly is a bit angry about the mission, saying they haven't found any Geth activity, but Joker does add that 3 ships have gone missing in the sector within the last month. Unfortunately for Pressly's boredom, an unidentified vessel has been picked up by the long-range scanner and is heading straight for our ship. We know the Normandy has the best stealth technology in the galactic fleet, so for this unknown ship to be able to target us so quickly, it made me a bit worried. Oh yeah, we're getting turned into minced meat here. Ashley grabs Shepard and is given the order to help the rest of the crew into the escape pods while Shepard rescues Joker. Now, I have never played Mass Effect 2 before, so seeing this opening scene and my beloved vessel being torn to shreds and walking through that wreckage was jarring to say the least. We reach Joker just in time to get him on the last escape pod, but we can't save ourselves. This is a wild way to start a game, sequel or not. The constant safety of the Normandy in the first game is obliterated, literally, and starting on the back foot when we had the momentum ending the first game was a great narrative choice. Now for that stylized recap.
Just another routine mission. Why do they always say that before a mission? Of course it's routine. You haven't done anything yet. It's everything that happens along the way. The choices you make, the paths you choose, that turn the routine into anything but.
The first Mass Effect starts out with Shepard on board the Normandy on a mission to retrieve a Prothean artifact unearthed on Eden Prime. Unfortunately, we were not the only ones there for a pickup. A massive ship, later to be known as the Sentient Reaper Sovereign, descended on the planet and used his indoctrinated agent, Saren, plus an army of Geth to secure the beacon artifact. Shepard couldn't reach Saren in time, but did interact with the mysterious object, leading to unclear visions of death and destruction. With many colonists killed in the attack, the Alliance's ambassador, Udina, and our crew tried to convince the Council that Saren was hell-bent on destroying the human race and bringing destruction to the galaxy. The Council didn't want to believe one of their top agents would betray them, so with the help of a C-Sec officer, Garrus, and a Quarian named Tali, Shepard found the evidence needed to indict Saren on treason charges and strip him of his Spectre status. Yet, there was still no evidence connecting Saren to the Reapers. The Reapers were like a galactic fairy tale you'd tell your kids so they wouldn't travel into deep space. Sentient biomechanical giants capable of wiping out all life, including the Protheans 50,000 years ago. The only lead we had was the beacon from Eden Prime and Geth sightings throughout the galaxy. They must be searching for something. With the help of new team members like Liara, a Prothean expert and historian, we were able to decipher some of the vision the beacon had shared with Shepard. But that was just the start. On the ice world Noveria, Shepard and crew encountered Matriarch Benezia, a powerful Asari that was working with Saren. When we finally confronted her, we learn of one of Sovereign's powers, indoctrination. A powerful signal that affects the minds of organic life, compelling them to do Sovereign's will. Another surprise was found on Noveria as well. Matriarch Benezia was sent there to extract memories from the Rachni Queen, a race of aliens that terrorized the galaxy hundreds of years ago, but also shared experiences through generations, giving Benezia and Saren the location of the Mu Relay. Even though Shepard had to fight through many Rachni, talking with the Queen opened his eyes to a potential ally, letting her go after dealing with the feral offspring that plagued the research lab. Now, it was kind of perplexing that the recap skips over Zoo's hope on Pharos and the Thorian. The Thorian is an ancient plant that seemingly lived through every Reaper cycle, eating the corpses of the fallen and retaining their memories. Saren needed the Thorian because it ingested Prothean minds during their extinction and took the information of where something called the Conduit was, but that's completely skipped over. Anyways, with Benezia killed on Noveria, Saren's base was found on Virmire with some startling revelations. Saren had been trying to breed an army of Krogan immune to the genophage, a plague that was constructed by the Council races to stop Krogan from breeding. The Krogan helped the Council and the galaxy fight off the Rachni, yeah, the Queen we saved previously, but after their victory, they were betrayed since their numbers kept growing and they have this innate ability to want to conquer. This comes up in one of the side quests that we'll cover later on. Rex, being a Krogan, has a very tough time hearing that the Solarians and Shepard want to blow up the facility and doom any hope of the Krogan rebirth. But we do convince him that whatever Saren has produced would be subservient to him and not truly Krogan. Rex eventually agrees with us and the assault on the base starts. Another discovery on Virmire was Saren's indoctrination studies, which they also don't really talk about. Saren is also influenced by Sovereign's mind control powers and has been trying to replicate them on other organic life forms, trying to figure out a way to protect himself. Sadly, the long-term effects lobotomize the victims. The last thing the team discovers on Virmire before blowing up the place to Kingdom Come is another beacon which Shepard interacts with. This gives him the destination Saren wanted when using the Mu Relay, and a direct call with the Reaper, which is one of the coolest interactions in a sci-fi game. But time is not on our side, and while arming the bomb to destroy the testing facility, Shepard must make a choice between Ashley and Kaidan. I chose Ashley. With the information from the second beacon, the team travels to Ilos, a lost Prothean planet that hosts the Conduit. but Saren has beat us to it. Even though Saren had the head start, Shepard is contacted by Vigil, a Prothean VI construct who explains that before the Prothean extinction, their scientists had discovered how the Reapers start each cycle. The Reapers use the Citadel, the main hub for the galaxy, as a mass relay and send out a signal to the rest of the Reapers in deep space, awakening them and giving them the green light to teleport into the floating city. However, the Prothean scientists changed the signal pattern that the Keepers, these bug-like creatures, used to send the signal and thwarted the next cycle, our cycle. Saren, using the conduit on Ilos, teleports into the Citadel and tries to manually awaken the Reapers, with Sovereign and his Geth fleet attacking the exterior galactic ships as a distraction. Luckily, Shepard makes it to Saren before giving Sovereign the ability to signal the rest of the Reapers, defeats the corrupted disgraced Spectre, and with the might of the Alliance fleet and others, Sovereign is defeated and the Council is safe. Yet that was just one Reaper, and if an army of these things comes to the neighborhood, life itself might be kaput. And that's Mass Effect 1 in a nutshell, but honestly it doesn't really fully convey the amazing stories and interactions you get from the first game. But I was also wondering how Shepard could have survived the explosion on the Normandy or being lost in deep space, and the funny answer is, he didn't. We get this awesome cutscene depicting the Lazarus Project, or the rebuilding of Shepard. It kind of reminded me of Deus Ex Human Revolution. Oh wow, Mass Effect 2 came out before that. Not only are these impressive visuals, but it allows the player to reconstruct their character's class if they wanted to try something different than the first game. Previously, I was just a soldier, but I wanted to spice things up and went the Vanguard class because I wanted to fool around with the biotic powers, and I'm very happy I did. Coming back from the dead isn't a small feat, and it looks like Miranda, the woman that was talking with the Illusive Man in the first cutscene, had been overseeing our recovery.
Damn it, Wilson, he's not ready yet. Give him the sedative. Shepard, don't try to move. Just lie still. Try to stay calm.
I already didn't trust her or Cerberus, especially with them talking about Shepard like he was some pawn, but I can't complain about having a second chance on life. Even with this gift, Shepard's inexplicable tendency to be around or cause destruction has stayed with him, and as we wake up, someone or something is attacking the lab. This starts the tutorial portion, and I think they did an excellent job in comparison to the first game, teaching you the basics of combat and interactions, while also setting up the story. A very important aspect that helps with that is the mammoth leap in the environmental details the game showcases. We'll be talking a lot about this throughout the video, yet already within the first 10 minutes of the game, you can see how much effort was put into making the areas Shepard explores feel lived in. It was one of my major critiques about the first game that areas other than the Normandy and Citadel felt barren, which I attributed to the production exclusivity on the Xbox 360. Already we have a neat visual detail that you could look over the operating room, making you feel like you were actually in a medical lab, but also maybe in the back of your mind a slight suspicion that someone was observing you for reasons apart from your recovery. Then just ahead of that, we see one of the mechs laying waste to a scientist. You can also find these video logs of Miranda talking about Shepard's recovery and the major efforts Cerberus have utilized.
In an effort to accelerate the process, we've moved from simple organic reconstruction of the subject to biosynthetic fusion. Initial results show promise.
While trying to reach Miranda, Shepard finds Jacob, another Cerberus employee, who explains that we've been dead for 2 years, and that someone has hacked the mech security to turn on everyone in the facility. After defeating some waves of enemies, we can question him further on a bunch of different details. He confirms Miranda was the ranking officer on the Lazarus Project, that we're not a clone, wish I could say the same for Adam Jensen, and that most of the Normandy crew did not make it apart from our previous squad members. Our conversation is interrupted by Wilson, the chief medical tech, asking for assistance. Jacob and Shepard take the service tunnels and find Wilson wounded, who we fix up with a Medigel. But something feels off with Wilson. Jacob questions him on what he was doing outside the bio wing and how he has a security mech clearance. His answer doesn't really seem convincing.
Weren't you listening? I came here to try and fix this. Besides, I was shot. How do you explain that?
After learning about squad commands, we can talk with Jacob again to get more information about the situation. Shepard understands Cerberus as a pro-human terrorist group, but Jacob disagrees, explaining that when Shepard was killed, the Alliance declared him dead and gave up, not helping retrieve or revive his body. That's sort of understandable from my perspective. I don't know how common resurrecting someone is in this galaxy, and from what Jacob says next about the project taking billions of credits, not a lot of organizations could pull that off, especially after rebuilding the Citadel and other worlds after the attacks. Jacob promises if they make it off this research lab that we'll be able to talk to the Illusive Man, and the squad continues through more hacked mech bots. Then we get our first real interaction with Miranda. Yeah, she's not someone to mess with. Miranda tells us that Wilson sabotaged the security systems and hacked the robots to kill anyone on sight, including us. Even though this seems very renegade, I didn't think we had time to argue semantics. Shepard, Jacob, and Miranda take the final shuttle and travel to another Cerberus facility, but before we get there, you're given the final chance to switch around your choices from the first game. They play it off as a memory test, trying to confirm if this really is the Shepard version 1.0, so I didn't think it was too out of the blue.
Vermeer, where you destroyed Saren's cloning facility. You had to leave one of your squad behind to die in the blast.
Lieutenant Caden Alenko was killed in action. It was your call. Why did you leave him behind?
I left a friend to die that day, and I didn't do it casually. But I had to save as many people as I could.
We have our first discussion with the Illusive Man, and his name rings true, since he's physically not here, instead Skyping in from some unknown location. Just like the first game, Mass Effect 2 has an amazing cast of voice actors, and hearing Martin Sheen as some mysterious galactic power broker was top-notch.
That one man, one very specific man, might be all that stands between humanity and the greatest threat of our brief existence.
Also, remember this detail 2 hours from now, that every communication with the Illusive Man, barring one, has us as the hologram and him being physically present. The Illusive Man talks about how the universe is in peril because of the Reaper threat, and he believes Shepard is the only person capable of stopping the inevitable war, hence why they put so much effort to revive him. Unlike the Council, the Illusive Man believes that the Reapers have more agents working for them, and a recent spat of human colony abductions seems to confirm this. He has a very different way of thinking about these circumstances as well, where his focus is on humanity as a whole rather than the other galactic races. The Council's lack of motivation to tackle thousands of colonists disappearing plays into Cerberus's hands, and being annoyed at the indecisive nature of the political body that governs the galaxy, I was kind of with him on this.
If we wait for politicians or the Alliance to act, no more human colonies will be left.
But we don't know why these colonies have been disappearing or who's responsible. Fearing the colonists are being harvested for some Reaper master plan, the Illusive Man tasked Shepard with investigating Freedom's progress, the latest colony to go dark. Even though the Illusive Man is aura farming villain energy, we might have to keep our potential enemies close, especially with the vast resources at Cerberus's disposal. Ending the conference call, we get to read up about our recent discoveries in the Codex, something I very much enjoyed about the first game. I wanted to learn more about Cerberus's beginnings, and I wasn't disappointed with the narration.
Immediately following the First Contact War, an anonymous extranet manifesto warned that an alien attempt at human genocide was inevitable. The manifesto called for an army, a Cerberus, to guard against invasion through the Charon Relay. Derided as survivalist rhetoric written by an Illusive Man, the manifesto and its anonymous author soon fell off the media radar. But in 2165, terrorists stole antimatter from the SSV Geneva. The sole figure arrested named his sponsor Cerberus. Throughout the 2160s and 2170s, alleged Cerberus agents assassinated politicians, sabotaged starships bearing Ezo, and conducted nightmarish experiments on aliens and humans.
So yeah, they can spin an organization any way they like it, but Cerberus has a bloody and violent track record. Even if it was all in the sake of humanity's progression, the squad arrives on Freedom's progress and the place seemingly is a ghost town, apart from mech security. Exploring deeper into the colony, we surprisingly find Tali and a group of Quarians trying to rescue another Quarian who had been here on his pilgrimage. Obviously, Tali is pretty baffled by seeing Shepard since we were dead and all. Even worse is that Cerberus and the Quarians are not on the best of terms, but the two teams eventually work together to find the missing Quarian since he might have some information on what happened to the colony. After destroying some more mechs, the Quarian team is almost taken out by this big boy. I really enjoyed this design, plus seeing that it had both shields and armor, I knew it would be a tough fight. Luckily, Miranda has overload, which later in the game becomes frickin' invaluable during long encounters. With the mech defeated, Shepard finds the lost Quarian, and we get our first taste of the Renegade Paragon speech actions.
Have to hide. Mechs will protect. You're human. Where did you hide? How come they didn't find you?
Who didn't find us?
The monsters. The swarms. They took everyone.
I think I recall when this game first came out that these in-dialogue actions were kind of laughed at. You don't really know what Shepard will do with whatever option you choose, even if you don't choose any. As a fan of CRPGs, not knowing what my character will do with my own action kind of infuriates me, but I kind of like going in blind, having the story unfold with some uncertainties. Being nice to Vitor, he explains that the monsters with the swarms took the colonists away, and that he was able to hide from them in the security structure, but reprogrammed the mechs for defense, and that's why they were all hostile to us. He then shows us the camera footage, and oh man, this does not look good. These monsters are called collectors, and just like the Geth in the first game, no one has seen them in a very long time. You can have Vitor explain the collector's mechanics, how they use a swarm of tiny insects as a first deployment, injecting organic life with some sedative, halting all motor function. Then the big bugs show up, take everyone in these cocoons, and leave like nothing happened. So we know who's taking the colonies, but we still don't know why. And we don't have evidence yet that the collectors are even working for the Reapers. We've gotten all the information we could from Vitor, but Miranda insists that we take him in for more interrogation. Tali shows up and demands that they bring him back to the flotilla, the Quarian ship fleet, and I was impressed with how many options the game presented in situations like these. It felt like there was always a way to be diplomatic about your choices, and I wanted to continue my Paragon run from the previous game, so I convinced Miranda that Vitor's Omni-Tool data would be sufficient. We also get to ask Tali to join us and get the gang back together, but sadly she's still on her mission and is not able to join us at this time. Shucks. She does say that if she finds any information on the collectors or their motivations, that she'll contact us. Back with the Illusive Man, he explains more about the collectors and most importantly that they travel via a different relay than the ones other galactic civilizations use. Their special relay is called Omega-4, and any galactic vessel that's used it previously has never come back from whatever destination it teleports you to. The Illusive Man continues, saying that previous dealings with collectors have been much smaller, how they trade with slavers and other not-so-nice groups in exchange for technological enhancements. And they have abducted people in the past, but not at this volume. Assuming the collectors are with the Reapers, Shepard will need a full team for this oncoming war. Cue the Ocean's 11 team building montage. Alright, who's in?
And you're gonna need a crew as nuts as you are. Who do you got in mind?
I kid. The Illusive Man has generated a list of possible candidates that Shepard can recruit, but not all of them will be easy to convince. As we'll see, most of them hate Cerberus with a passion, which makes Shepard's presence even more useful. He also says that if the collectors attack again, that he'll contact us, and Shepard remembers he's a Spectre, so maybe the Council will listen to him, but I press X to doubt that. Before leaving, Shepard can ask about his old team and their whereabouts. It's kind of sad to hear that everyone split off after our greatly exaggerated death, but it also made me excited to search out for everyone and try to get the team back together. It is heavily implied that we should start on the planet Omega to find Mordin Solus, a Solarian doctor that might be able to create protection from the Collector Swarm. So let's head there first, but we're not going to travel on that small shuttle ship, are we? No, we've got the best damn pilot this side of the galaxy. Cerberus gave Joker a contract he couldn't refuse, and the two besties talk about the last 2 years, how everything fell apart after Shepard's death, and how the Council tried to sweep any discussion of the Reaper attack under the Presidium carpet. But we don't dwell on that for now, since we got a shiny new ride. I can't believe I did this, and it wasn't the last time during my playthrough, but I legitimately clapped when viewing the Normandy 2.0. Yeah, I have odd moments. Cerberus has painstakingly recreated the Normandy, but also put some additions as well, like Edie, our ship's AI component. Unlike the VI systems we've encountered in the first game like Vigil or the Citadel information kiosk, Edie is a fully functional AI, which Joker might not like. We get a quick tour of the new Normandy. It has great functionality, acting as a hub for everything you need. A revamped galaxy map, a terminal for our personal messages, a weapon dock to customize squad loadouts, and a tech lab to research upgrades. Wow, there are a lot of new things to explore. This is what I mean by impressive continuity and expansion. It's not like these items and more are misplaced in the game's universe. It works well since we've established Cerberus has put a ton of credits into this venture. And unlike Alliance ships that probably have to cut costs, we don't. Also, we have leather seats. Real leather seats.
Wear standard, but on a first-gen frigate they could care less if the seats breathe. Civilian sector comfort by design.
Walking around the new Normandy came with a great feeling, whether it was talking with the chef about special ingredients he wanted from the Citadel, which actually led into a small side quest, or finding out that Dr. Chakwas was the infirmary tech and she needed a bottle of Cerise Ice Brandy since the last one was destroyed during the attack. The ship felt full with content and context, not like it was all thrown in just for the sake of having dialogue with the crew. Spending time talking to your squad members leads to interesting insights on their backstories. For example, talking with Miranda, you learn that she was genetically modified with powerful biotic powers, but that she has half of the lifespan of a regular human, which comes back during her loyalty mission, but we're not there yet. I will say that I kind of got annoyed by Kelly, our administrative assistant, because every time you walk past her, she mumbles to us that we have an unread message. I literally was on my way to read them, Kelly, thanks. I guess she does serve a purpose that she'll tip you off when there is an important conversation to have with someone, but anyways. We have a doctor to find and like 2 other people on Omega. I was very thankful they added quests on the map, since during my Mass Effect 1 playthrough, it was kind of confusing where they were located. One of Mass Effect 2's major improvements was expanding the scale of the galaxy and its parts. Flying into Omega, this gigantic space station was awesome, and the city itself is much more densely populated than almost any location in the first game. Immediately debarking the Normandy, you get the choice of 4 paths to go down. Shepard and company are interrogated by this dude saying that his boss, Aria, wants to see the team at the afterlife. Edie tells us that she's received reports of Mordin, the Solarian doctor, being part of a clinic in the quarantine zone, and another report of mercenaries preparing an assault on the Archangel. We also meet Zaeed another 10 feet away from our starting place, who's some sort of bounty hunter.
I didn't do it.
I said shut it. Tried to lead me on a chase all over the systems. He should have known better. These people always run to Omega.
Since Zaeed is in front of us, I talked with him first. He mentions that he knows the mission and that Cerberus has paid him a lot of money to join the team. Well, that was easy enough, but it does come with a catch. Every member that you recruit has a loyalty mission attached. Completing these missions unlocks the character's special ability, and were some of my favorite content in the game. We'll go through all the loyalty missions later on, but for now, we have our first recruit. Our next stop is the Afterlife, and I hope they serve a Jackie Wells. Damn, this place puts Cora's den to shame. See what I mean by populated? The lighting effects are outstanding, the music was pumping, and if this was the first destination Omega had, I was hankering for more. We reach Aria, who apparently runs this whole place. We can ask her a few questions about our 2 possible recruits, Archangel and Mordin. She confirms that Mordin is working in the living quarters helping victims of some disease, but the place is sealed because of that. Asking about Archangel, Aria discloses that whoever it is has made a lot of enemies, and 3 mercenary groups have banded together to take him out. They're conveniently holding tryouts just down the hall. Speaking with the Blue Sun's representative, Arya wasn't kidding when she said they'll hire anyone with a gun. Even though they won't tell us a concrete plan other than storming Archangel's base, we accept. Before departing, however, we get this small interaction with some random civilian trying to sign up for the raid. I chose to use my Paragon persuasion to stop the kid from becoming cannon fodder. I'm mentioning this quick interaction because these types of situations come up throughout the game and have a semi-rewarding payoff, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We do pick up the doctor's bottle from the bar before departing the afterlife and hitch a ride to Archangel's hideout. Shepard quickly realizes that everyone not affiliated with the 3 major gangs is being used as a distraction, which felt like a scummy double cross. To enact my revenge, I hacked one of the mech droids about to be deployed and sabotaged a gunship. Now, this interaction brought up an interesting nuance with the Paragon Renegade system and Shepard's unknown actions. Maybe it's a perspective thing, but sometimes when I chose a Paragon action, I felt like it was more brutal than I anticipated, and vice versa. Also, even though disabling the gunship turns out to be the good thing, it's still considered a Renegade action. Well, I guess I did just electrocute him in the back. The assault on Archangel starts, and even though I double-crossed the gunship pilot, I was kind of confused on what to do. The gang members had health bars even though I didn't attack them, and I was stuck behind this door. So my next guess was just to shoot them. I guess that worked out. After unlocking the room, we discover that Archangel is actually Garrus, my favorite squad member from the first game. We can quickly ask him how he got into this desperate position, where he tells us that he was done with the bureaucratic nonsense of the Citadel, understandable, and that he wanted to kill bad guys and thugs without strings attached, also understandable. But before he can regale us with more tales, there is a battalion of angry mercenaries coming our way, and we defend the point. Unlike the first game that had very few vertical combat zones, Mass Effect 2 does a good job with the updated cover system and level design, giving more variety to the engagements. I also enjoyed that hacking that mech worked wonders against the assailants and adds on to the feeling like your small actions have big payoffs. Another excellent addition to the variety of gameplay is switching up objectives within missions. Not just having waves of enemies come at you, rinse and repeat, even if there is a lot of that. You'll see it a lot more within the loyalty missions, but for this example, having to close multiple shuttle bay doors before Garrus's health bar depletes forces the player to advance out of cover and engage enemies swiftly in order to progress. We take down the final wave of mercenaries and the gunship that we handicapped, but Garrus isn't so lucky. Come on, they can't kill him, right? Right?
Didn't think he'd be up yet.
Nobody would give me a mirror. How bad is it?
Okay, good. And damn, looking badass if I say so myself. Even though we got Garrus out of that jam, he isn't convinced on this whole working with Cerberus shtick we're up to, but does join us anyway. Because we have this brief cutscene with Garrus, we're back on the Normandy and get this sweet email from the kid we stopped joining the raid on Archangel. Even though it was just an email and we didn't get any credits or special items, it did feel like we had made a good choice. I'm proud of you, John Winston. Back on Omega, Shepard investigates shops for upgrades. Upgrades come in all sorts of sizes and effectiveness. You can upgrade your weapon damage, party health, hell, later on in the game you can upgrade the Normandy. In comparison to the first game, it felt like my credits and resources mattered. Choosing which upgrades to get based off of my squad and character build were important decisions. You couldn't just buy out all the shops, so each credit counted. We also get this interaction with the new alien species, the Vorcha. The Vorcha have a pretty gnarly looking design, and already within the first couple of missions we're seeing another great expansion of the galaxy being newer alien races. Having these small moments along with the collectors makes the player think about what else they haven't discovered. I did get turned around while trying to find the quarantine zone and somehow made it back into the afterlife, but I was glad I did since look who we found. Fist.
I heard you were dead. I had a party and everything. No hard feelings though, huh?
I laughed out loud hearing his reaction to seeing us alive, and I think he got off easy with both us and the Shadow Broker. You should be counting your blessings. This was a short interaction between the two, and we quickly find our way to the living quarters. Shepard convinces the guard to let us through, and again the environmental details were fantastic. I love seeing the quarantine notice on the ticker or the shops hastily abandoned. You also get these small side moments if the player chooses to hack certain doors, and I wasn't expecting this type of storytelling.
Said we're infected. Idiots can't tell the difference between the plague and a simple cough. 2 days in, nobody's even come by to check on us. Never thought the Blue Suns would turn their backs on me. This group used to stand for something. Davis died last night. He's still talking to me, though. Good to hear his voice. The company is nice. Nobody should die alone.
We can also find this Batarian suffering from the plague who blames humans for the spread of the infection. Apparently humans are immune to whatever is going on here, and the rest of the population is beyond suspicious.
Humans looking for the human sympathizer. I hope the Vorcha burn Mordin and his clinic to the ground.
After killing off some more Blue Suns and Blood Pack hooligans, we make it to Mordin's clinic, and he's a character.
Don't recognize you from area. Too well armed to be refugees, no mercenary uniform, quarantine still in effect. Here for something else? Vorcha? Crew to clean them out? Unlikely. Vorcha a symptom, not a cause. The plague? Investigating possible use as bioweapon? No. Too many guns, not enough data, equipment. Soldiers, not scientists. Yes. Hired guns? Maybe.
We disclose that we're working with Cerberus, which piques the doctor's attention, and after telling him we're going after the collectors, he surmises that the current plague was engineered by them as a test run, seeing how the virus affects human genetics. I was a bit confused since humans seemingly aren't affected, but whatever. Unfortunately, Mordin won't leave without helping his patients and tells us that the Vorcha have shut down the environmental systems, dooming everyone if we don't restart the system. We'll need to turn back on the system and release the antidote he's been working on. He also asks us if we can find one of his assistants that has gone missing while trying to find other survivors. Mordin also mentions that he wasn't always a doctor, saying he was part of the Solarian Special Task Group, the same organization that helped us at Saren's research lab, which was a cool connection. After exploring for a bit, Shepard and company find the young assistant being harassed by thugs, and luckily we can play the diplomatic game with our Paragon level and get the guy out unharmed. We eventually find the machine Mordin was talking about, but it's heavily guarded by Vorcha mercenaries who explicitly say the collectors are the ones that hired them to spread the plague. Alright, thanks for connecting those two things. Again, combat encounters aren't just sitting in one place and taking down enemies. The player has to turn on multiple terminals to get the system functioning again. Even though I enjoyed the pacing changes that these moments had, there was one change I wasn't so fond of. Why did they change guns to have ammo instead of the overheating mechanic? There were multiple times where I ran out of ammo during long fights, and even though enemies do drop bullets, leaving cover to run out and grab it mostly resulted in me dying. I also thought that the heating mechanic is a more effective method of warfare than having to get ammo like every 4 minutes. Regardless, the Vorcha goons are dealt with, and Mordin is happy with our results, accepting our recruitment pitch, and we'll start work on some sort of protection against the Collector Swarm. Back on the Normandy, Mordin has some intriguing lines of dialogue about how desperate Cerberus must be to have recruited him. He's kind of right that for such a human-oriented group, they are recruiting a lot of different species and have installed an AI. Mordin makes his home within the ship's laboratories, and we get some great backstory on the Doctor. As I stated before, he was part of the Solarian Special Task Group, the Special Infantry Infiltration Squad, and even references Captain Kirrahe from Mass Effect 1, going out of his way to make fun of Kirrahe's long-winded speeches.
I worked with an STG captain named Kirrahe. His team helped me destroy Saren's cloning facility on Vermeer.
Heard he was part of that. Jury-rigged explosive. Always got job done with limited resources. Good captain. Bit of a cloaca, though. Loved his speeches. Hold the line. Personally prefer to get job done and go home.
We also get the opportunity to give the Doctor her special bottle, and I thought why not sit down for a drink or two. Another neat detail is overhearing the random crew members talking about more abductions.
Ferris Fields. Didn't Hadley have a brother stationed there?
Yeah, he's taking it pretty hard.
Like with the Nerali side quest in Mass Effect 1, these moments of human connection or loss make the galaxy feel a little smaller. in a good way. I wasn't sure where to go next and decided to explore the system. The galaxy map change was a good adaptation to the originals, and as I said before, it's easier to figure out which planets had which content. You can also scan planets for resources for your upgrades, which wasn't engaging, but it was very useful. Before using the mass relay to jump systems, I wanted to explore the Normandy wreckage. Even though this was a small side mission, it had a bit of weight to it. You have to find the dog tags of your crew around the site, and as you go into the various sections of the ship, Shepard gets flashbacks to what it previously looked like. I did think that putting this statue up was a bit comic, since where was Shepard hiding that thing? Maybe I don't want to know. Anyways, with all the dog tags collected, we head out to recruit the warlord Okeer. Landing and seeing this planet was amazing. There's nothing like massive warships slowly traversing the atmosphere. Unfortunately, some sort of rebellion is happening as we hear this lady on the loudspeaker talking about quelling Krogans and killing deserters. Also, the Blue Suns are here, and they must be a pretty big mercenary group if they're in 2 different star systems. Shepard helps an injured merc who sort of tells us what's going on. Someone named Jador has hired Okeer, our warlord scientist, to create an army of clone Krogan for her, and things seem to be going as you expect. Most of the cloned flock are cast away and left for the mercenaries' target practice, and I was getting PTSD flashbacks from Virmire. Shepard fights through more Blue Sun troopers until we meet one of the Krogan clones who has this badass helmet. I don't know why I loved it so much. Talking with the tank-grown Krogan was pretty saddening. He's been bred for combat, but has a level of understanding that we didn't see with the fully indoctrinated subjects on Virmire.
Bred to kill. No, I kill because my blood and bone tell me to. But it's not why I was flushed from Glass Mother. Survival is what I hear in my head. Against the enemy that threatens all my kind. But I failed, even before waking. That is what the voice in the water said. That is why I wait here.
Fortunately for us, the clone Krogan points us in the direction of the labs and shows off his muscles, even if he's labeled as a reject. We also meet another familiar face, which I laughed at because of course Rana somehow survived the blast on Virmire and is still working for genetic altering bad guys. I do wonder if we had just killed her back in the first game, who would be standing in front of us now? If you have that info, let me know. Thank you. Shepard questions her about why Okeer is working for the mercenary group, and she explains that he's more working for himself than trying to create an army for Jador. Rana's complicit in his research, creating a mental imprint for the vat-grown Krogan, and apparently he's not trying to cure the genophage. I know Krogan are supposed to be destructive warmongers, but they seem to suffer a lot. Now, I didn't kill Rana this time either, because I kind of wanted to see if she would show up in Mass Effect 3 working for another evil entity, and she does deliver one of my favorite lines in the game.
Now, if you don't mind, I'm gonna run like hell before you blow the place or something. I know how you work.
Yeah, we do blow up a lot of places. The team finally meets Okeer, who knows about our actions on Virmire and recants the tale with some bravado. He's not necessarily upset, but for a strange reason. Instead of trying to cure the genophage, he's trying to ignore it by creating the perfect Krogan, which we can see in the vat next to him. All the others that he deems unworthy are given to Jador, and surprisingly the Collectors, who he exchanged large quantities of Krogan for information which he implanted in this perfect subject. I really have to hand it to the Mass Effect writers because they rarely make things black and white. Okeer might think he has good motives for the Krogan race, but to what end? Letting his clones become cannon fodder for mercenaries or letting the Collectors take them for God knows what? It doesn't absolve what the Solarians did or even our previous actions, but I don't see anyone being truly in the right. Jador finally has had enough and releases contaminants within the lab, jeopardizing Okeer's research. Luckily, she's in the room next to us and we quickly take her out, but not in time to save Okeer. He does leave us a final video saying that all the information he gathered while interacting with the Collectors is within his prototype, Grunt. Now, that's a name. Having no other leads apart from this Grunt, I decided to take him on the Normandy, even if Miranda is a bit worried about having an unknown Krogan in the cargo bay. Back on board, Shepard opens up the vat and we get our first dialogue with the Krogan.
Human. Male. Before you die, I need a name.
I'm Commander Shepard, and I don't take threats lightly. I suggest you relax.
I love how Shepard talks to Grunt even when being shoved against a wall. We've been around Rex long enough where we can cater to Krogan desires, like how Shepard says he has a good ship with a strong crew, and that makes it a strong clan.
That's acceptable. I'll fight for you.
I'm glad you saw reason.
Huh? Offer one hand, but arm the other. Wise Shepard.
Grunt agrees to join our adventure, but when questioned about the Collectors, he doesn't have anything to add, which I was disappointed with. Oh well, on to the next recruitment. Our next person on the list is the Convict, located on the prison ship Purgatory and another Blue Sun establishment. This level was a perfect example of expanding the universe in unique ways. Obviously, the galaxy has some hardened criminals which planetary governments just don't want, so they send them here. Shepard is greeted by the Warden, who shows us around the facility, highlighting the magnitude of the ship and its high security systems. We can also question him on Jack, our convict, that I guess has been locked up here for a long time. The Warden talks about Jack like they're Jeffrey Dahmer combined with Saren, noting their violent tendencies and devastating exploits. It really had me questioning the list the Illusive Man gave us, because compared to our Mass Effect team, these last three people seemed worrisome to say the least. But it's not just the convicts here that are violent. Passing by one of the cells, we witness a beatdown by one of the guards, and we get the option to intervene. Now, I don't know if this is the reason why I get a certain email later on in the game, but I have a feeling it might be related.
You have orders.
You're not important enough to make your own decisions?
I admit, I sometimes get tired of this. Does this really get us anything useful?
Stop this. For your own sake.
Yeah, you're right. Call it off. At least for now.
Anyways, we get to out-processing to pick up Jack, but the Warden has another idea in mind, double-crossing Shepard because he could fetch a pretty penny from whoever would pay for this. With a lot of prison guards slain, we find where the Warden has been keeping Jack, but if we unlock their cell, the whole place will open up. Who designed this prison? That's idiotic. Shepard doesn't have a choice, and with Jack's cell open, they cause a lot of chaos.
That's Jack?
We follow the trail of bodies and broken interiors, and only after a couple of minutes, this prison is turning into Attica. The Warden has also lost his marbles, killing anyone on sight, and we get this semi-decent boss battle. I enjoyed each recruitment mission and later on loyalty missions that at least try to spice things up. Even though destroying energy conductors wasn't enthralling, it was at least something. With the Warden killed, we catch up to Jack, who isn't the biggest fan of Cerberus either. She tells Shepard that Cerberus has been tracking them for years, and they're the ones that put out the bounty each time they escape. Even though Jack and Cerberus have a tumultuous history, they agree to join us under the condition of letting them peruse the files on the ship, which Miranda isn't too happy about.
I'll give you full access.
Shepard, you're not authorized to do that.
Oh, it upsets the cheerleader. Even better. You better be straight up with me.
Back on the Normandy, Miranda and Jack continue their quipping, and I was wondering how our ragtag team of super powerful yet semi-unhinged individuals was going to work as a team against the Collectors. They do, don't worry. Remember, Shepard's a natural-born leader. Before we could go after our next recruit, hopefully they're a little bit more on board with the whole Cerberus thing, the Illusive Man Skypes in telling Shepard that another colony has just gone silent in the Terminus system, and we should head there ASAP to investigate. Luckily, Mordin has just completed his repellent for the swarm bugs, and we're off to Horizon. Wait, I know that armor anywhere. Ashley, what is she doing here?
Still can't calibrate the targeting matrix?
Those defense towers are useless if we don't figure it out.
Sorry, Chief. Getting our comm systems back online takes priority.
Yeah. Okay. Surprised people haven't tried to blame that one on me, too.
People out here don't trust the Alliance. It's nothing personal.
The Collectors start their attack on the colony, and I'm just thinking about this now, but their ship here is probably the same one that attacked the Normandy in the beginning. Even though the colonists are screwed, it was interesting seeing the Collectors in action, since the previous colony had already been done and dusted before we arrived. Ashley is paralyzed with the rest of the colonists as well. The Collectors have an amazingly creepy creature design, and these insectoids honestly had me wishing that we were still fighting the Geth. Plus, it looks like they can be possessed by their ship commander, which doesn't bode well. Despite the Collector's visual aesthetic, fighting them was kind of a mixed bag. Even though I enjoyed a new enemy type, the drones weren't that difficult to deal with and didn't add variation to the gameplay. We do discover a grim reality on Horizon that the Collectors are using husks, like the ones we saw in Eden Prime, but with a catch. Because there are no spikes on the ground, we think that the Collectors have brought them personally. This would mean the Collectors possess that technology and probably got it from the Reapers, since the Geth used the same method when working with Sovereign. Up ahead, Shepard discovers the survivor of the attack, some mechanic that locked himself in when the Collectors came. At least this time he wasn't taking a nap. Despite this guy being a dick, he did provide an interesting conversation. The mechanic is very skeptical of the Alliance, blaming Ashley's presence and the insistence on building defense towers for the colony as a precursor to the Collector attack. It was interesting to hear a frontiersman, for lack of a better term, be so against Alliance involvement trying to protect an outwork colony, especially one in the Terminus system. He does mention that the defensive turrets went offline right before the invasion, and if we could make it to the main transmitter on the other side of the facility, there might be a chance to use the turrets against the Collector ship, but he's not going to help us. Fighting to the turret interface, we're met with another enemy type, the Scion. Scions were tough to look at and tougher to deal with. It looks like they're a conglomerate of husks stitched together and utilize biotic powers which knock you out of cover. In addition to the swarms of Collectors which had power in numbers, dealing with both them and the Scion made choices in the battlefield a bit more strategic. Yeah, I died to them a lot. Shepard hacks the defense terminal, but EDI will need to calibrate the guns before they're ready. And we have this pretty epic hold the line moment with husks, Scions, and Collectors descending on us like we smeared honey on our armor. EDI finally gets the turrets back online, but it's too late. With the Collector ship departing with half the colony, we have failed. Despite seeing Ashley get paralyzed, she somehow escaped the Collectors, and like most of our previous squad, she's baffled that A, we're still alive, and B, we're working for Cerberus. I understand her viewpoint growing up in the Alliance military. Remember, Cerberus is viewed, and with good reason, as a terrorist group. I'm sure she's lost a lot of friends to their misdeeds. This is expanded on when she discloses that the Alliance was suspicious that Cerberus was behind the colonial abductions, and that's why they sent her to Horizon. Sadly, I think I chose the worst dialogue options, and Ashley doubles down on her Alliance allegiance when asked to join our squad.
I could use someone like you in my crew, Ash. It'll be just like old times.
No, it won't. I'm no fan of aliens, but Cerberus has a history of being extremist. I'll never work for a group like that. So long, Commander.
Damn, I really thought we had something going in the first game. Even though the mission was a failure, we saved like, 2 people? The Illusive Man chalks it up as a win, saying that the Collectors will think twice about attacking another colony. Maybe that's not a cigarette. The Illusive Man goes on telling Shepard that he's been spreading rumors in the subnet of our return and about the people closest to us, like Ashley. I was kind of perplexed that there was no dialogue option from Shepard where you could say, "What the fuck, dude?" The last portion of the conversation is about the Omega-4 relay and how the Illusive Man is trying to track down information on how to use it, but also says there might not be a way back. "We'll need a strong team, yada yada." My dude, so far you've given me a mad scientist Krogan who cloned a legacy baby, a powerful biotic convict that hates you, and Zaeed who, I don't even know, works only for money? Not very convincing. Regardless, at this point in the game, you've gotten enough level up points to fully upgrade Shepard's class, and I thought this was a neat addition to the leveling system from the first game because you could tailor your Shepard into a style that suited your gameplay. I chose the Champion Evolution because of that sweet 20% health increase. I thought it would be useful since I was playing close and personal with the trusty shotgun charge combo. On another note, Miranda wants to talk to us about a personal matter, and in her office she confides in Shepard a lot of backstory that elevated her character beyond hardened Cerberus agent. We knew from a previous dialogue that Miranda was biologically engineered, but what we didn't know was that it was her father's doing, and she wasn't the only child that he did this to. Miranda has a twin sister that also escaped the father with Miranda's help. but he's been searching for her ever since. Even though the twin sister was protected by Cerberus, some information has slipped that she's on the planet Illium, and Miranda needs our help in relocating her before she's found. All signs were pointing in Illium's direction. A new email caught my eye. No, not the insane murderer that now wants to kill us, but from an old friend, Liara, who has been trying to track down the Shadow Broker for the last 2 years. Maybe we can tell him where Fist is. Illium is one of the densest content planets so far, boasting so many side quests and narratives that we're going to be here for a while. But I'm not complaining. Off the Normandy, Shepard and team are greeted by an Asari concierge who tells us that Liara has paid for our docking fees and wants to talk to us. Yep, that's why we're here. Walking around the trading hub was another wow moment for me. Comparing this to Pharos or the other planets we visited in Mass Effect 1, they were worlds apart. I thought it was a neat detail as well that each planet had a small interaction spot where your squad members will tell you a bit about each planet with some impressive views. Of course I had to take some selfies. Garrus says that even though Illium is a highly advanced trading hub, certain parts are as dangerous as Omega. It wasn't just the population that was impressive, but the multitude of dialogues presented to the player. One of my favorites was hearing this Volus talk about shorting the prefab market.
You shorting prefabs?
Why not? I did it after Eden Prime. Paid for new exosuits for my kids.
You're insane.
Another great part of Illium was seeing more familiar faces which enhanced that special feeling of continuity. We see Gianna Parsini, the internal affairs agent from Noveria who needed help taking down the corrupt Annihilus. It's a brief conversation, but as she leaves, there is a note underneath our drink. Parsini is still conducting operations for the Noveria board, and this time it's with secret schematics being illegally exported off-world. Shepard helps to get the evidence of the illegal sellers, and yeah, it might be entrapment, but whatever.
Very advanced design. Not publicly available yet.
That's because it's still in development on Noveria, and illegal for export. Hello, Hermia.
Parsini, you set me up! But this isn't Noveria. You don't have the authority to arrest me!
I don't care whether you go to jail. I've got all the evidence I need to find you out of business.
After quickly helping her out, we can continue our conversation learning about her past and why she keeps working in the field. It's these rich character moments that make Mass Effect 2 shine a little bit brighter than the first game in my opinion. Even though Parsini cannot join the Normandy and she doesn't come back again, at least in my playthrough, learning more about her as a person felt rewarding. Liara's office is just up ahead, and seeing old squad members that don't hate our guts was a nice change. I also thought it was a great callback to her mother, Matriarch Benezia, that Liara uses the same threat of, "Have you faced an Asari commando unit before?"
Have you faced an Asari commando unit before? Few humans have.
She also seems to have changed a bit. Liara declines our request for her to rejoin the squad, but does offer to help us find Samara and Thane, 2 possible recruits on Illium that were on the Cerberus list. We can also give her our information on the Shadow Broker, which she is more than willing to take. Turns out one of her friends, Farron, was captured by the Shadow Broker, and that's why Liara is so interested in finding the mysterious information dealer. Interestingly enough, Liara also divulges that it was not totally Cerberus who saved us from our space grave, but the Shadow Broker, who was going to sell us to the Collectors. Liara and Farron, with Cerberus's intelligence, recovered our body first, but Farron sacrificed himself so Liara could escape. Once Shepard's body was safe, Liara handed us over to Cerberus because they said they could resurrect us. Liara departs, saying she needs to spend some time in her apartment and plan Farron's rescue, and we crash a Solarian bachelor party.
I don't understand. Humans celebrate wedding contracts by tempting infidelity? That makes no sense.
Calm down, man. Don't embarrass me in front of the stripper.
Now is the time for Miranda's loyalty mission. Meeting with her contact, we're told that Miranda's closest friend has caught wind of her father's plans of sweeping the city with Eclipse mercenaries. He has also volunteered to escort Irina personally to the terminal to get her off-world instead of us. Miranda says that she trusts Niket with her sister's safety, and this allows us to deal with the Eclipse mercenaries.
Let's hope they really do want to take us alive.
Hold fire! I said hold fire, damn it!
Name a more iconic duo than Shepard and his crash landings. Before combat, we do have a chance to talk with the Merc leader, who says Miranda kidnapped her sister and that Niket isn't going to help her, but he doesn't go into any more detail than that. Talks seem to be going south, so when I saw the Renegade option with a floating explosive vat over some Merc personnel, I had to do it. That's certified badass. After dealing with the first mercenary wave, Miranda confides in us more of her family's story. They are twins, genetically, but her father grew Arena when Miranda was a teenager, and she couldn't bear the thought of her sister going through the same early life as she had. That's why she views it as rescuing, not kidnapping. I did find Miranda's logic subject to questions. We didn't really cover it at the beginning of the game, but there are some lines of dialogue about Miranda not being too happy about Shepard joining Cerberus because she feared that he would eclipse her as the Illusive Man's #1 agent. When Miranda says the line, "She was meant to replace me," it had me thinking, did she really take her sister out of the goodness of her heart, or was it to screw over her father that tortured her and to get back at him? Less so about Arena and more so about Miranda. What do you think? Anyways, Miranda wants to find Niket and hopefully her sister, but there is a whole army of mercenaries between us and them. It gives us a great opportunity to talk about the combat enhancements that Mass Effect 2 has. Like an hour into the video. I think I put myself into a corner in the first game playing as the soldier class since you don't really have many abilities to work with. Playing Vanguard in Mass Effect 2 was another story. Enemies without shields or armor can be tossed into the air with our shockwave ability. This is extremely helpful when enemies are behind cover because the wave goes through physical objects, and it is very satisfying shooting vulnerable targets like it's Duck Hunt. Using Miranda and Garrus as my squad mates, both have the overload ability, which drains enemy shields, and I thought it was a great combo having those abilities for tougher enemies and then finishing them off with the shockwave or charge. Vanguards also have the access to specialized elemental ammo, the first being fire and the second is frost. Both having interesting effects during engagements, like fire will burn victims, what do you know? Or, in RPG terms, grant higher DPS, and then cryo ammo, which will unlock much later on, will freeze targets, allowing you to incapacitate larger foes. We talked about it briefly before, but I wanted to highlight again the arenas that you fight through having a lot more range and cover. Battling through this cargo hold felt like I was fighting through a cargo hold. It might sound a little bit silly, but it's a noticeable departure from the first game's lack of environmental detail. Throughout the battle, Miranda is starting to question whether Niket did double-cross her, and oh my god, this has to be a reference to the first game with the elevator music in the Citadel.
Or maybe it means something else. Niket wouldn't do that. Damn it, why won't this thing go any faster?
Miranda does admit to us that Niket never knew about her quote-unquote rescue, so maybe he didn't agree with her once he was told that by the father, and we get our answer quickly. Niket is with an Asari mercenary who doesn't play nice. Niket divulges that he did help Miranda escape because she had the capacity to choose that. However, for Arena, he thinks that Miranda took her back to get back at her father, which was one of my questions. Now, I got a bit confused about the rest of the dialogue between the two because Niket says that he's the only one that knows of Arena's whereabouts since he hid the information from the father, but didn't the dad send the Eclipse agents? If Niket truly wanted to bring the sister home, why even involve the Eclipse group, just so he'd have an excuse to escort her? Shepard stops Miranda from shooting Niket, but we have another moment where the Paragon action doesn't result in a happy ending. The Asari Merc shoots Niket in the back, and after dealing with that quote-unquote bitch, Miranda is heartbroken from the betrayal, but also tells Shepard she would have wanted to take the shot instead.
Even with all your upgrades, you're human. Just like the rest of us.
I did enjoy Shepard's line here, and thank you so much to the commentators from the last video explaining that the voice actor for Shepard in the first game was supposed to be a placeholder and didn't have a lot of time with his lines. He does a much better job in this game. Leaving the cargo hold, we get this poignant moment with Miranda seeing Irina with her family but feeling scared to approach her. Shepard again delivers some good lines and convinces Miranda to speak with her sister. Seeing Miranda tearing up after saying goodbye was a good character arc, and I trusted her a lot more than before. Our next mission is to find Thane, a ruthless assassin who's somewhere on Illium. Our first lead is with an ex-security chief for Nasana Dantius, some rich developer who has been killing off scores of people to cover her secrets. The disgruntled ex-security chief points us in the direction of a new building development and says that Thane will probably be there tonight trying to take out Dantius, and we make our way over. They could have had all this information conveyed through the first dialogue, but giving it to the player while flying over the city was magical, and it won't be the last time we fly around the city. For some reason, this housing development has rocket defenses at the top, so we have to start our way at the bottom. Arriving at the construction site, we witness Dantius's guards murdering Solarian workers and get a chance to speak with one of the survivors. The night worker says that Dantius has killed a lot of the workers with mechs, but there were some that survived held up somewhere in the higher levels of the tower. I tried to get the reason for the massacre, but the night worker only says that he and the rest of the workers were expendable, and that was the only justification. Geez, that's pretty messed up. We fight through a slew of Eclipse mercenaries and mechs in the upper levels and find the rest of the Solarian workers. Talking with them, I thought it was a great contrast to the other Solarians we've met on our journey. Not every one of them is Mordin or Kirahi. Before telling the workers they're free to go, Shepard asks if they've seen Thane around, and we're told that he was the one that saved them, but they don't know where he went next. We continue ascending the tower, getting the jump on one of the mercenaries who tells Shepard that the assassin was spotted by the rest of his team near the mezzanine, and off we go once more. The great visuals keep coming interlaced with the context of the narrative. You can't just take an elevator and believe you're higher up, you have to see it for yourself. Looking out on the city gives the player a sense of how gigantic this place is and how many stories are being told here that we'll never perceive. I got lost in Mass Effect 2, but in a good way. The scope and scale that intrigued me from the first game is amplified in so many unique and endearing ways that I can confidently say, this is one of my top 5 video game universes. And we're only halfway through the game. How are you doing? Good? Shepard and team make it to Dantius, and I love the direction within this cutscene. Nasana thinks with credits and tries to pay us off, but knowing how she treats her workers like it's the Qatar World Cup, I wasn't going to side with her. While she's trying to placate us with riches, you can hear some muffled rumblings overhead, and then Thane makes his Splinter Cell entrance.
You stay put. When I'm finished dealing with this nuisance, you and I are going to... Who...
Certified badass moment number 2.
I was hoping to talk to you.
I apologize, but prayers for the wicked must not be forsaken.
She certainly was wicked.
Not for her, for me.
Even though Thane's character is played straight, I found it hilarious that when Shepard asks him how he knew we were coming, Thane goes, "When you started shooting and blowing stuff up for the last 30 minutes, it was a good distraction." Yeah, Shepard isn't able to slough off his reputation. We explain the mission to Thane, and this isn't a problem for him, divulging that he's dying from a mysterious disease and as a last hurrah wants to do something important for the galaxy. I kind of laugh that you could ask him if the disease is contagious, like, come on, Shepard. Regardless, Thane joins our crew and we're off to find Samara, the Justicar, who should be around the tracking officer Dara in the lower transportation hub. Heading over to this recruitment mission, a random Asari pulls Shepard aside, and by golly, it's another Mass Effect 1 connection.
I was asked to give you a message if I saw you. It's from a friend you made on Noveria.
I met a lot of people on Noveria. Could you be more specific?
I believe the message itself should make it clear. Shepard, we hide, we borrow, we build, but we know that you seek those who soured the songs of our mothers.
Hearing from the Rachni Queen was not something I expected and thoroughly enjoyed. Apart from the creepy eyes, I was glad to know the Queen was safe, and maybe our bet paid off since the message concludes with her offering assistance when the time comes. This Asari messenger also says that the Rachni Queen saved her on some uncharted world and that she only seeks peace with the galaxy. Hearing that our actions in the previous game had ramifications, good or bad, was always a fantastic feeling, and I'm assuming if you did kill the Queen that this dialogue would not be here. Another Mass Effect connection is with Shiala, the Asari who Saren traded to the Thorian in exchange for information regarding Ilos. We saved Shiala, who offered to help rebuild Zoo's hope, and that's why she's on Illium now. The colonists have been suffering health problems related to the Thorians' mind manipulation, and Shiala hired a colonial survey group for their medical expertise. Unfortunately, they didn't read the full contract and have given the company the right to perform invasive procedures. She's made many attempts to change the contract, but to no avail, and asks us if we can help. Of course we can. The representative is immediately combative, but as she talks more, we realize that she's just grieving over her daughter's deaths from the Citadel attack, and seemingly is inflicting her internal pain onto others. The Paragon option was the ability to talk to her about her family, and Shepard is turning into quite the therapist.
They sound like wonderful people. The galaxy is lesser for their loss.
I like the fact that one of her daughters was the greeter for the consort. Yeah, the one that told us it would take 5 months for a meeting. After recounting the good deeds of her daughter, she amends the contract and even waives the fees for the colonists on Zoo's Hope. I know this is short side content, but it just feeds back into the main thesis of the greater connectivity and continuity of the franchise. With that accomplished, we try to figure out where Samara is. The officer we talk with immediately questions if Samara has killed someone, which, great introduction, and gives us a bit more information on what a Justicar really means. They are the embodiment of Asari law, and are the judge, jury, and executioner who rarely venture out of Asari space. Her being on Illium and the wide variety of perceivable crimes happening have many Asari fearful that she's just going to go full RoboCop. We hail a cab and head down to Samara's last known location, where we're greeted by this shady Volus and a detective questioning the merchant's whereabouts during his business partner's murder. We can talk with Pitney 4, who points us in the direction of the crime scene, saying that's where he last saw the Justicar, but it's closed off and we'll have to finagle the detective for access. Detective Anaya seems pretty run down, and I was surprised she wasn't smoking a cigarette with a cold coffee next to her. It seems like the gangs have the true power in this district, and she's the only honest cop that gives a damn. She does perk up when Shepard tells her he's trying to recruit Samara since she wants the Justicar out of the system, and gives us access to the crime scene. It seems like we're not the only ones looking for Samara, as we overhear Eclipse mercenaries hunting down the Justicar. If Zaeed and Jack's entrances were B tier, Thane and Samara are S tier. Samara's armor is such a cool design, and the way she speaks is calm but ruthless.
What was the name of the ship she left on?
Go to hell!
Find peace in the embrace of the goddess.
Why am I feeling things right now? Shepard tries to convince Samara to join the squad, but she claims she's in the middle of an investigation seeking a dangerous fugitive, and the Eclipse mercs have ferried the individual off-world. The detective shows up mid-conversation and detains the Justicar because I guess killing mercs is a no-no. Samara tasks us with finding the name of the ship the Eclipse used to hide the fugitive, and we accept. Access to the Eclipse base is blocked, but our devious merchant friend Pitney 4 does have a key card that would let us in. He also explains that he might have sold the Eclipse biotic enhancing chemicals that are toxic in high volumes, something he didn't disclose. This might have gotten his partner killed. Now, Pitney does mention another small detail that I guess I didn't hear when playing, that every Eclipse member has to kill someone to join the group, which will come back in a few short moments. Keycard in hand, we gain access to the Eclipse hideout and run into Elnora. Elnora pleads with Shepard that she hasn't done anything wrong and that her notion of being a mercenary wasn't living up to the expectations. Without realizing what Pitney had said, I let her go, but later on in the level you get this audio tape that made my blood boil.
Well, it's official. Little baby Elnora is finally a full-fledged Eclipse merc. I earned my uniform last night when I killed that ridiculous Volus. Up close exploding rounds. Blew the little bastard's suit wide open. I can't wait to see some real action. Next time I go home, my friends are gonna be so jealous.
Shepard also finds some incriminating evidence on Pitney 4, which we can use to extort him later or give to the detective, and find another Volus high on red sand. Damn, this stuff seems potent.
Fear me, lesser creatures, for I am biotics made flesh.
I don't know what drugs you're on, but stay back and I won't shoot you.
After defeating the Eclipse boss, we obtain the information Samara was looking for and return to the detective to free the Justicar. Samara explains that the fugitive is named Ardat Yakshi, and even though she swears loyalty to Shepard, she does want to find the fugitive before departing for the Collectors. Wrapping things up with the detective, I love this line from her about being able to tell her granddaughter she met a Justicar, and there's another small line previously of another Asari saying she wanted to be a Justicar when she was little. It's a great world-building moment and insight on the Asari culture. Yes, they're more than fearful of Justicars and their abilities, but they do look up to them as paragons of their own species. Finally, we give the detective the evidence that the Mercs killed Pitney 4's business partner and gave her the info on the Volus smuggling operation. All in a day's work. Our next stop has us going to Liara's apartment to see if she's gotten any information on the Shadow Broker, but when we arrive, something terrible has happened. An attempt on Liara's life. We're introduced to Tela Vasir, a specter who's investigating the crime scene and asks for our help in determining where Liara might have escaped to. I absolutely love this change of pace within the mission. Searching Liara's apartment had a lot of great callbacks, like our original N7 armor displayed, a painting of Ilos, or the Prothean ruins from her excavating days. Shepard finds a hidden communication log and plays it for the group. Liara had paid this Solarian to narrow down the information that we previously gave her on the location of the Shadow Broker and asked Liara to meet him at the Baria Frontier offices. Vasir offers us a ride to the trade center, but as soon as we land, a huge explosion rocks the building. Still believing Liara is alive, Vasir takes the roof while Shepard and team start from the ground floor. I wasn't expecting this at all, and seeing the destroyed interior of this trading center filled with civilian corpses was jarring. Shepard finds an undetonated military-grade explosive and encounters Shadow Broker agents, so I'm pretty sure this dude is going through great lengths not to be found. In a weird directorial choice, we're shown that Vasir murders a Solarian employee and another merc, but then goes, "Woe is me, if I was just 2 seconds quicker I could have saved them." We heard the gunshots right outside the door, who else would have shot them? I guess it sets up Liara's unveiling, telling Shepard that Vasir was the one who tried to murder her and tipped off the Shadow Broker's agents to the office. So the Solarian that we saw Vasir murder was Liara's informant, and Vasir took that data with her. She makes this daring escape, and wow, is that only the second time we've seen Shepard incapacitated, the first being the beacon? Liara chases after the rogue specter and we chase after them. What happens next I was not expecting, and for a side mission, I was blown away. Even though the flying controls weren't that advanced, you're really just going left, right, or straight, the scale of the scenario was engaging and unique to the series so far. Swerving through construction sites and traffic all while trying to avoid proximity mines felt like I was in Fast and Furious 20. Plus we get our classic Shepard one-liners.
What kind of guns does this thing have?
It's a taxi. It has a fare meter.
Wonderful.
Shepard does take down Vasir's ship, but she's not dead yet. She's a Spectre after all, leading to a chase through the Azure. Now, the developers didn't have to add anything to this mission to make it more awesome, but the fact they thought of making the Azure this hotel brothel for Asari was genius. We have these two incredible Asaris duking it out, but then have this world detail about how the Asaris are also fetishized by Illium's population. Maybe it's just me, but the stark social and cultural contrast Mass Effect 2 displays makes it feel like a real universe. Also, the voice acting and writing is top notch.
We'll get you out of here safely, Mariana.
Well, that's good to hear. All you had to do was walk away. Now it gets ugly.
Please, I have a son.
A son? I hope he gets to see you again. I've heard losing a parent is just horrific for children. Scars them for life.
I'm going to end you, Vizier.
It's okay, Liara. We'll handle it. The usual way.
You want Mariana's little boy to grow up without a mommy, Shepard? Thermoclips on the ground now. Power cells too.
Is that it?
What?
Vizier, I sacrificed hundreds of human lives to save the Destiny Ascension. I unleashed the Rachni on the galaxy. So for your sake, I hope your escape plan doesn't hinge on me hesitating to shoot a damn hostage.
Vizier's boss fight was honestly one of my favorites. She has both a barrier field and armor to deal with in combination with her movement abilities and waves of enemies she calls in, made it a really engaging fight. Shepard and Liara defeat Vizier and take Sakat's data on the Shadow Broker's location. Before Vizier's death, she does point the finger at Shepard for working with Cerberus, saying that it's no different than her working for the Shadow Broker. I thought this was an interesting take on Shepard's trajectory, since she does have a point that we're not all good deeds and altruistic action. But she also drops a true bombshell that never gets talked about again. She says that Cerberus were the ones that killed our whole unit on Akuze. Shepard does not reference this allegation once to Miranda or the Illusive Man, and I honestly thought I had misheard her or something, but no, the video doesn't lie. Did I miss the chance to confront the Illusive Man on this or find out more information? Beyond this wild notion, I thought it was a fantastic moment where our first choice in Mass Effect would come back now. Without a chance to catch our breath, we take the fight to the Shadow Broker. With the data from Liara's informant, we find the Shadow Broker's ship on the planet Hagalaz, an incredibly harsh place with an unstable environment causing these massive lightning storms. The Shadow Broker ship again was a visual masterpiece with functionality too. There are these sizable capacitors conducting the random lightning strikes, and at certain times killing enemies, you'll see their bodies shoot up into the distance and be struck mid-flight. The fighting is intense, but the squad manages to get inside and find Pharaon hooked up to some torture device. We can't free him unless we cut the central power, which is in the center of the ship and presumably where the Shadow Broker resides. Finally, we put a face to the name, and I was not disappointed. Another checkmark in the win column for alien design. Even though the broker tries to one-up us with some scary jargon, Liara is smarter. She notices that the Shadow Broker is part of a species named the Yogg, who were quarantined by the Council after massacring the First Contact team. She surmises that the Yogg was taken as a trophy or a pet by the original Shadow Broker, but somehow killed and replaced them. It's sort of like a Dread Pirate Roberts deal. $10 Dogdad dollars if you get that reference. This obviously pisses off the Yogg, and we get another boss fight. Am I wrong, or is this just a side mission with 2 boss fights? It's freaking awesome. Liara breaks the shield generator above the Yogg, causing a pretty big explosion, but I guess it did disable the power to Pharaon's torture device. It's also pretty freaking cool that no one knows the true identity of the Shadow Broker, so when all their agents are asking for a report or what to do on their missions, Liara takes the helm and becomes the new Shadow Broker.
This is the Shadow Broker. The situation is under control. We experienced a power fluctuation while upgrading hardware. It disrupted communications momentarily.
However, we are now back online. Resume standard procedures.
I want a status report on all operations within the next solar day.
Shadow Broker, out.
With Liara's newfound position, we're given access to a lot of information, some of which was comical, like Miranda's internet searches, Jacob's workout routine, or Jack being a poet. But at this point, there was nothing really that helped us with the Collectors or the Reapers, which I was kind of confused by. Shepard also pulls a generational fumble.
Maybe next time you come by, I could come up to the Normandy.
Sounds good. Next time I come down, it's a date.
You dolt. With Liara's mission complete, our next person of interest was Tali. Closing in on the planet, Edie informs us that there is a considerable Geth activity within the ruins where Tali should be, and an environmental warning about the sun. I was eager to get back to our old-timey Geth killing days, but was also intrigued by the gameplay aspect on this world. Something has gone wrong with the planet's sun, and spending too much time under its rays will damage your shields, making cover very important. We find some dead Quarians with an emergency radio message saying we must find Tali, and oh boy, there are Geth. Somehow, I missed you guys. This level had a lot of verticality to its design, and having to constantly be in the shadows lent itself to some engaging fights. Why Tali and her Quarian crew are investigating this planet, we don't know yet, but after demolishing a barrier, Miranda mentions that these ruins are Quarian, predating the Geth uprising. Side note, Quarians created the Geth, now you're all caught up. Shepard gets into contact with Tali through a voice module, and she explains that they were conducting research on why the sun is aging at an incredible rate, but can elaborate once we've come together, which is easier said than done. Blocking the way to Tali is a Geth Colossus, but with the help of the last remaining Quarian Marine, we're able to bring this giant down. Reuniting with Tali, she explains that she was sent here to understand why Hailstrom's sun was destabilizing, believing there is something or someone tapping into the energy of the star. With the information she gathered delivered to the fleet, Tali joins us on the Normandy, but there is a lot of bad blood between the Quarians and Cerberus because Cerberus attacked the flotilla at some point. Before we can recruit another member, however, the Illusive Man calls up and says that the Turians disabled the Collector ship and it might have information on how to reach the Collector homeworld. But Illusive Man, what happened on Akuze? God damn it, I really want to know. Approaching the derelict Collector ship was a treat. I love the design of the hive structures on the exterior, and it extends to the interior. Further into the ship, we find some of the Collector's experiments, one of which used a Collector and a human to compare genetics, which gives us a startling discovery. Edie informs Shepard that the genetic structure of the dead Collector is almost identical to another found in ancient ruins, the Protheans. Wow, are you telling me the Collectors are the Protheans? Well, not so fast. Edie continues explaining that the Collectors are a morphed version of the Protheans, probably due to Reapers altering their genetics. Maybe that's why the Collectors were abducting so many human colonists, so that they could rewrite our genetic code too. Shepard and team make it to the central computer, but once Edie hacks in, we realize that this was all a trap, and the Collectors have come to collect. Sorry for the bad joke.
That can't be good.
What the hell just happened?
Major power surge. Everything went dark, but we're back up now.
I managed to divert the majority of the overload to non-critical systems. Shepard, it was not a malfunction. This was a trap.
We defend against waves of Collectors and Scions while Edie tries to scrub the virus from the Normandy systems. Edie does manage to debug the system. Get it? Debug? Fuck, another bad joke. She does reveal that the Turian call that led us to the Collector ship was created by the Collectors, but mentions there is an irregularity within the data, posing that the Illusive Man would have seen this discrepancy and knew it was not from the Turians at all. That double-crossing son of a gun. But we don't have time to dawdle on this matter of betrayal, as the once dormant Collector ship is starting to regain power, and with it, their weapon system. We fight through hordes of enemies and narrowly escape another ship disaster. I do question why they don't just fly the other way since there's like one main gun, and I doubt the ship could turn on a dime, but whatever. We confront the Illusive Man, who tries to spin all of this as necessary data retrieval and how he needed the Collectors to think they had the upper hand, but I don't believe him. The Illusive Man does tell us what Edie extrapolated from the computer. The Reapers and the Collector ships use an advanced identification system, which is the only way of accessing the Omega-4 relay. We'll somehow need to possess one of the IFF systems in order for us to pass through the relay, and even then, we don't know what's on the other side. Coincidentally, one of Cerberus's research teams has discovered a derelict Reaper in space by, get this, tracking the path of one of its energy weapons through multiple star systems. That's freaking cool. Back with the crew, Edie informs everyone that they've located the Collector homeworld, but Shepard doesn't believe the findings, since it's located in the galactic center, or if you're a fan of Einstein, where a black hole should be. You do get the option to steam ahead, get the IFF, and go gun-ho into the Omega Relay, but our team wasn't complete, and there was a lot more game to cover before going on our one-way trip. I can't believe we're so far into the video and Mass Effect 2 that this is the first time we're going back to the Citadel. Damn, she looks great. I did promise myself no more Quasar bets. Ben, you promised yourself. Our first time back at the Citadel has us introduced to Kasumi Goto, one of Cerberus's recruits who quickly joins us, but also mentions a mission she'd like to go on for her partner's Grey Box. We also meet Captain Bailey, who I honestly loved as a character. He's some C-Sec officer who helps Shepard out a lot, like changing our identification back to living from dead. He'll come up more as we explore the Presidium and lower wards. Next stop down memory lane is with Captain Anderson. We set up Anderson as the ambassador to humanity, yet it seems more like arguing with the Council for the rest of his life. I did not miss these bureaucratic dumbos.
We've heard many rumors surrounding your unexpected return. Some of them are unsettling.
The Council is interested why we've publicly joined a designated terrorist group and still wants to be hush-hush on the Reaper invasion, still chalking it up to Saren and the Geth. They do reinstate us as a Spectre on the condition of keeping a low profile, oh okay bud, and keeping our actions confined to the Terminus system. Talking with Anderson after the Council meeting, you can ask him what happened after Sovereign's demise. It was interesting that even though Sovereign literally warped in, attacked the Council's fleet, and tried to merge himself with the Citadel, there was almost no hard evidence. Anderson says that there was so much chaos from the debris left after Sovereign's demise that they couldn't account for even half of the body. We can also question Anderson on Ashley, and he admits that he approved her mission to Horizon because they weren't sure who was abducting the colonies. I was kind of baffled he didn't put in a good word with us once they realized it wasn't Cerberus doing the kidnapping. What, I want Ashley on my squad. Anyways, we do have some crew members that need our help. Let's start with Garrus. Talking with Garrus back on the Normandy, he talks to us about the shootout in Omega, how he had a team defending him before we arrived, but they were betrayed by Sidonis, a fellow Turian. Even though Garrus doesn't know why Sidonis betrayed him and his crew, he wants him dead. Garrus's only lead is a person named Fade on the Citadel that specializes in helping people get off the grid, but we don't know how to find him. Cue Captain Bailey.
I'm trying to find a local forger. He goes by the name of Fade.
Yeah, I know him. The alias, anyway. He's been a thorn in the network division's side for the last year. He works with the Blue Suns.
Where can we find him?
If I knew that, he'd be in a cell. Best I can do is put you on the trail.
Bailey doesn't know the specific location, but does mention a warehouse in the marketplace that hosts some of Fade's contacts. Trying to find this place had me running into random stores, and I was kind of glad I did. It was intriguing the first time that you could offer an endorsement of a particular store and then get discounts for their items. What business wouldn't want the famed Shepard as their poster boy? Then I found it hilarious that you could do this with every available store, and Shepard uses the same line. So there are going to be like 5 different endorsement ads with the same dialogue.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel. And this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
No other gun shop has that kind of endorsement.
We finally make it to the warehouse and meet a Volus and 2 Krogan who quickly turn on us, but with a swift renegade moment are taken out. With a little intimidation tactics by Garrus, the Volus divulges Fade's location near the factory district and mentions Fade's true name is Harkin. If you don't remember from the first game, Harkin is the C-Sec officer that helped us find Garrus, but he's been fired from the Force and now is some nefarious people smuggler. Shepard and crew take a cab to the factory and see Harkin, who is pretty miffed that we're on the Citadel. He must have been doing a lot of legwork in the last 2 years because he is an army of mechs and Blue Sun mercenaries for us to fight. Even though the layout of the cargo hold was very similar to the one we saw in Illium, being able to see the underbelly of the Citadel was a novelty. Usually Garrus is cool and collected, but midway through this portion, Shepard can ask him about his intentions with Sidonis, and he really is just out to kill the guy. I get Sidonis betrayed his whole crew, it's just I never heard Garrus talk this way before. We get to Harkin and interrogate him about Sidonis. After some shots to the balls, Harkin complies and sets up meeting with Sidonis under the pretenses that his identity has been compromised. The player does get the option to intervene at the end of this social interaction, but I thought Harkin deserved it.
Maybe give C-Sec a blood trail to follow.
Bastard!
You're getting off easy, Harkin.
Garrus sets up his sniper for the shot, and Shepard distracts Sidonis long enough for it to be an easy one. Even though it was a quick sequence, assassinating someone in the Citadel was dramatic. In all the chaos finding Fade, I forgot to mention we bought the special groceries the chef requested all the way back in the beginning, and there is some funny dialogue about the calamari recipe being Asari.
Truth told, it's based on an Asari recipe. Seems a little cannibalistic to me with their tentacle heads and all, but they ain't no good grub.
Next on our loyalty missions is Kasumi, and I believe this was a DLC that was added, but please tell me if I'm mistaken. Kasumi's mission was one of my favorites, even if it was a bit short. We're destined for some high society party to steal back a gray box which was taken from Kasumi by Hawk. Kasumi explains that Hawk and his friends are nefarious lords of industry, perpetrating mass murder, political revolutions, all the above really. We've taken false names and have to gain access to Hawk's vault and get out while going unnoticed. Obviously we can't come packing our arsenal, so Kasumi has created a Trojan horse, a sculpture of Saren filled with our weapons and armors. If you didn't believe Hawk was evil, accepting a gold sculpture of the rogue specter that almost doomed civilization is pretty good evidence. Kasumi does elaborate on what's in the gray box, stating that there are a lot of priceless and personal memories from her partner's life, and a secret that if opened by the wrong person, might mean calamity. Hawk meets us at the door, accepting our gift and letting Shepard, Mr. Gunn, into the party, but tells Kasumi to wait outside. He doesn't seem to know who she is, but I was already a bit nervous about our identities being blown. Kasumi does have a cloaking ability that came in handy for this, so we're not going in solo, and helps us figure out how to gain access to the vault. This mission reminded me of the Hitman series, blending in with the crowd, having to do multiple mission criteria. Wow, this guy's living the dream. Shepard gets the passcode for the vault door, an audio sample from Hawk, Hawk's DNA from his bedroom, and disables the power leading to the vault. With all that set up, we open the statue of Saren and start our search. Seeing what was in the vault was a marvelous visual display. This guy has a lot of things like Michelangelo's David, the Ten Commandments, and even Lady Liberty's head. One item that intrigued me even more was the two conduit-looking objects in the back, but sadly we couldn't interact with them. Kasumi finds the gray box, but it's a trap, and the two have to fight their way out of the vault. This place was massive, and I loved the details within it, like the large mech army, or are these nuclear warheads? We have a pretty fun fight with Hawk's gunship, eventually taking it down in style. With the gray box obtained, we have a much more somber moment back on the Normandy as Kasumi interacts with it. The gray box holds a hologram or a message from her dead lover, plus information that could implicate the Alliance in what I'm assuming to be political espionage. The last words from the lover's hologram are, "Destroy the files," but Kasumi is reluctant because it's all she had left of him.
I can't do that. This is all that's left.
Goodbye, Kasumi. I love you.
Shepard does ask if there is a way to save the memories and destroy the incriminating files, but trying to decouple the espionage stuff within the memories is impossible since the two are encrypted together. After some convincing, Shepard offers to destroy the gray box, and the memories are no more. It was weird since we had just met Kasumi, but I truly felt bad for her. It's like if you had one final picture of your family but had to destroy it to keep you safe, it's not an easy choice. Our next loyalty mission is with Grunt, who's been going through some changes. Grunt confides in Shepard that he's unable to control his thirst for bloodshed, but doesn't know why it's happening so quickly. Edie doesn't know what's causing it either, stating that the only medical information on the Krogan are from autopsies, since the Krogan don't willingly share their medical history. The only place Grunt can think of to get answers is the Krogan homeworld of Tuchanka, and off we go. Landing on the planet, we're met by some heavily armed Krogan that inform us that the clan leader wants to speak with us and to keep our pet on the leash. I'm assuming they know he was born in a vat, and this is just the start of the disrespect Grunt will face. And look who it is, Rex. I'm sorry I didn't have you in my squad last game. A lot of people were telling me I messed up. Rex is in a talk with another Krogan arguing over reforms. Last time we saw Rex was on Vermeer, where our choice to destroy the facility led to a lot of Krogan death. But Rex talks about it now as a turning point for the species. Destroying Saren's genophage cure freed the rest of the Krogan from indoctrination, which allowed Rex to unify the clans under one name. We present Grunt and ask Rex if he knows what's ailing the vat-grown Krogan, which boils down to, he's a teenager.
Adolescence, Can't we just take him to Omega and buy him a few dances?
No, really, Grunt is coming of age and needs to participate in a Krogan tradition called the Rite of Passage, but not everyone is on board. The Krogan who was arguing with Rex earlier about tradition is not too happy about the idea of Grunt being able to participate, and is debating this fact with the clan's shaman. Shepard and Garrus offer to be Grunt's Kront, the allies that will face the trials with him, and apart from some more resistance from the traditionalist Krogan, we're set. The squad is transported to something called the Keystone, one of the last remnants of the Krogan rebellion. It acts as a doorbell for creepy crawlies to come knocking, and the squad has to defend against wave after wave of alien creatures until we wake the big boy, the Thresher Maw. I thought it was kind of neat that you could just survive for the allotted time, or you could take the fight to the beast. In true Krogan fashion, we kill it. Unfortunately, with the Thresher Maw defeated, the arguing Krogan from before appears and at first seems to have reconciled his distaste for Grunt. He mentions that the last Krogan to defeat the Thresher Maw was Rex himself. Through some more dialogue with Uvenk, we can sense that he's only after Grunt's power, saying Grunt could never work on their clan ship or breed, but would be used to tip the balance of power. Grunt is obviously not happy with that, calling him a pretender, and we fight him and his cronies, finishing him off with a nice headbutt. Damn, I love the charge ability. Back with Rex, Grunt is offered a position in the clan, but he refuses, saying that Shepard is his leader. I appreciate that. Our next loyalty mission is with Jacob. Talking to him back on the Normandy, he tells Shepard that he's received a transmission from a ghost the other night. A family ghost. Spooky.
I'm listening.
My private log got an update about the Hugo Gurns back, the ship my father served on. It sent an SOS last week, reporting a crash and requesting a rescue. Shepard, that ship went missing 10 years ago.
Shepard agrees to go to the SOS coordinates and see if the ship is truly there. I like the mystery premise, and after all the other loyalty missions, I was excited to see what was in store for this one. We find the ship's wreckage right off the bat, but it seems to have been there for a while, since half of it has been salvaged. There is an audio log from one of the survivors saying that horrible things have been happening to the crew and something about destabilizing cognition. Next to the audio log is a VI construct that's a bit glitchy. It gives us the information that the SOS beacon had been paused 8 years ago by acting Captain Ronald Taylor, which Jacob questions because his father was a first officer while acting on the ship. Jacob asks for an explanation, and we're told that his father was promoted to captain under Emergency Command Protocol, the flagged issues being local food and neural decay. Uh-oh, did the crew turn into xenomorphs? The VI continues explaining that the food on this planet, when ingested, creates a chemical imbalance within the human brain, rapidly progressing neural decay, and maybe that's why they didn't activate the beacon right after the crash. Even odder is that the VI mentions the SOS signal Jacob got was activated remotely by his father, so there is some investigating to do. We are pointed in the direction of the wreckage, but I saw this woman hiding a little ways ahead of the beacon and completely forgot to check the ship. If you know what was on it, could you share that with me? Thank you. Talking with the survivor, we can definitely tell there is something ailing her brain. She talks in short sentences and refers to our shuttle ship as a star. She's also getting hunted by these blokes who call the survivor an agent of the Liar. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is like some sci-fi Lord of the Flies shtick. After dealing with the hunter, Shepard and team come across a village with other survivors, all of whom are female. Shepard hypothesizes that the fruits affect men and women differently. The villagers recognize Jacob thinking it's his father, saying that he promised them to call the sky, but nothing came. They also mention that the captain forced them to eat the local fruit, and Jacob is perplexed why his father would have the crew eat that if they knew it was toxic. But a ship log explains this, detailing his father and other officers' choice to hoard rations for themselves and hope to get treatment for the rest of the crew at a later point. The log continues saying that there were a few mutinies from this decision, but they were killed by the captain's mechs or forced to eat the fruit. Jacob assumes that even though his father did eventually fix the SOS beacon, the abuse of power and standing he found himself in was too great to let go. But then, why did the signal get sent after 8 years? After killing the captain's brainwashed guards, we confront Jacob's father, who is very blasé about this whole entire situation. He tries to play it off as he survived the crew's descent into madness and they hailed him as a leader, but from the log records in the VI, we can't believe that.
I've gotta have some back pay coming.
What about your crew, acting captain?
Total loss. The toxic food turned them wild. They propped me up here in some kind of ritual behavior. Waiting for a chance to signal has been hell.
That's the best you can do?
Before we get our conclusion, I knew I recognized Ronald's voice from somewhere, and wouldn't you know, it's Dave Fennoy who voices Tosh in StarCraft 2. He's also done a lot of other games and is a great voice actor, but sheesh, this character is a bastard.
Jacob. No. Not Jacob.
Why not me? Would 10 years of this look better to anyone else in the galaxy?
You have to understand, this isn't me. The realities of command, they change you. I wasn't ready for that. I made sure you were taught right. Before I left, I hoped to leave it at that.
Ronald's justification for all of this is he thought the first months were bad enough and sending the SOS would probably put him and all the other officers in jail, but that doesn't explain how the signal was sent recently. I chose to arrest Ronald and bring him to Alliance Court. The other options were Jacob killing him or leaving Ronald to live out his villainous act, neither of which served justice for his atrocities. We walk in on a conversation between the Illusive Man and Jacob, where Jacob is questioning who sent him the SOS signal. The Illusive Man denies any action, but Miranda shows up and admits that it was her who gave Jacob the signal, talking about keeping old promises. I must have missed something because this confused the hell out of me. Even Jacob is confused by Miranda's actions. Regardless of that odd loyalty mission, the next one is a doozy.
Discovered that Krogan population was growing too quickly. Overcoming genophage. Had to take steps. Personally led a team, created new version of genophage, released it onto Chunka, other colonies. Restabilized Krogan population.
Mordin reveals to us that he created a new version of the genophage and released it onto Chunka and other Krogan colonies because the Krogans were becoming immune to it. Mordin even defends the first genophage, but I really have a hard time coming to terms with a manufactured disease creating mass sterility for a specific species. Somehow disclosing all of this to Shepard leads into Mordin's request. He asks us to save one of his fellow research members who worked with him on the modified virus from a blood pack group back on Tuchanka. Surprisingly, Rex helps us out, but I guess Shepard doesn't mention the Solarian's background. The Chief Scout knows where the blood pack are located and had sent out a scout to observe their movements, but they haven't reported back. Riding to the blood pack base, seeing the devastation of this world had me thinking about Gears of War. It's funny how so many unique games can have similar themes and aesthetics. Within the blood pack base, Mordin discovers a human body that's been experimented on. He elaborates that the human genome is easier to manipulate and much more diverse than other alien races. I thought this could tie in with the Collector narrative after seeing them fiddling with genetic alterations as well. We get certified badass moment number 3 when dealing with the Blood Pack's clan speaker, and I just had to pull the trigger.
The surviving races will frighten their children with tales of what the Blood Pack did to the Turians. The Asari will scream as their Citadel plunges into the sun. We will keep Solarians as slaves and eat their—
You talk too much.
See? The human cannot hit a simple target.
Gruesome. After that encounter, we find a dead Krogan and can talk with Mordin more about the genophage and his defense of it. He doesn't view the first genophage or his alteration of it as murder, rather a medical variant designed to stop the Krogan uprising in a dreadful war. He even mentions that Tuchanka wasn't destroyed by the genophage's effects, but that of the Krogan's own doing using nuclear weapons. But conflating racial sterilization not having the same physical effect as a nuclear bomb and its aftermath, I felt was like comparing apples and oranges. What did you think of this?
Genophage medical, not nuclear. No craters from virus, damage caused by Krogan, not Solarians, not me.
So if the Krogan banded together and formed a united government, you'd welcome that?
Yes, United Krogan saved Galaxy, destroyed Rachni. Genophage, not punishment, simply alters fertility to correct for removal from hostile environment.
Shepard eventually finds the lost scout from Rex's clan who is tranked out of his mind. He tells us that they used him in experiments to find a cure, convincing the poor scout that what they were doing to him was necessary and he would be hailed as a hero. It was also really sad that he views himself as a lesser Krogan, saying he's not big enough to have any chance with the females and forgoing having children of his own. Being the test subject that cured the genophage would change that. With some stims and a solid pep talk from Shepard, he really is good at that. The scout heads back to Rex's camp with a new vigor in him, and we find Mordin's old research partner. Even though Mordin was under the assumption that Maelon was abducted or kidnapped, finding him unharmed surrounded by high-tech computing doesn't fit that narrative. Maelon voluntarily traveled here to cure the altered genophage because he felt guilty being part of Mordin's team. He thinks by finding a cure that he'll right his wrongs. You can question him about the hypothetical of the Krogan trying to conquer the galaxy, which he has an interesting viewpoint on. Maelon says that the galaxy is already warlike, with Batarian attacks in the Traverse, the Geth invasion of the Citadel, so on and so on. He's not wrong about this. It goes perfectly into one of the major themes we talked about in our first video, that Mass Effect perfects moral grayness. There is no right answer to most of the situations Shepard or the galaxy face. There are a lot of wrong ones though, but who gets to decide what should be done? Maelon even thinks if Mordin's alteration didn't happen, that it would have caused the Council to take precautionary steps for the Traverse colonies like Eden Prime and would have united the galaxy, which I think is a little out there knowing the Council, but that's his ethos. There is also the fact that he's experimenting on humans and other Krogan, which I guess in the grand scheme of this situation isn't as grandiose, but Mordin is not having it. Shepard steps in before the murder and convinces Mordin that it wouldn't be who he is as a person. I did find the conclusion to this loyalty mission a bit melancholy. Without killing Maelon, there is the possibility he continues his research or tries to leak the information about the modified genophage. Mordin is certain that the Solarian Special Task Team will cover its tracks and deletes all files within the base, destroying any hope for a cure for the foreseeable future. I was against the original virus when Carahe talks about it in the last game. I was against Mordin when he explained the alterations in this game, and I find it kind of odd that we couldn't find a middle ground to this issue. Sweeping everything under the rug doesn't absolve Mordin from his work or the Council from its choices.
Don't worry about me, Mordin. How are you doing?
Should have killed him. Wanted to. Easier than listening. Easier for him, too. Experiments indicate how far he's fallen. Expected it from Krogan. Not one of mine.
We're getting closer to finishing these loyalty missions, but the next one made me wish for a spin-off series between Samara and Shepard. Samara reminds Shepard when they first met on Illium that she was tracking a dangerous fugitive and getting the information of which ship they used to get off the planet. Samara has tracked their location. She warns Shepard that the Ardat Yakshi is a master manipulator, and I was getting kind of spooked by their description. Samara also drops this bombshell that the Yakshi is her daughter and takes responsibility for their actions, hence why she wants to kill her.
I cannot imagine what this is like for you.
I do not want pity, Shepard. I do not accept it. My daughter's condition is my fault, and my redemption lies in killing her.
We're back on Omega, asking Arya if she's seen anything suspicious, and she points us in the direction of the tenements where the last victim was from. These are the moments that truly solidify Mass Effect 2 as one of my favorite games. Shepard meets with the mother of the deceased, who tells us that no one is taking her daughter's death seriously, writing it off as a brain hemorrhage. We've seen so many people burned, bludgeoned, blown up, yet in these focal points of grief and sadness, death hurts.
It's so hard when no one believes you. I'm all alone now.
The mother allows us to investigate her daughter's belongings, where we find a note talking about an Elcor artist, Forta, a small statue created by the daughter, and a video diary. I wouldn't call this indoctrination, but Samara was right that her daughter has special powers allowing her to manipulate unsuspecting prey. From the video diary, it seems like Morinth, the Ardat Yakshi, has been prowling the Afterlife VIP section for her victims. Samara and Shepard head that way, but have to devise a plan since any sight of Samara would tip Morinth off. The two come to the conclusion that Shepard will have to go into the club solo and try to pique Morinth's interest in the attempt to get her to seduce us, like she did with the previous girl. How do we do that? Well, it's kind of hilarious. We talk with the first guy in the club who says he bought tickets for an Asari for her favorite band, Expel 10. Then we show off our sexy dance moves on the floor, convince the bartender to give everyone a free drink, insult a Krogan, and punch a Turian for harassing dancers. This was the perfect checklist to get the woman's attention because Morinth pulls us aside and literally says we're the most interesting person in this place. Hell yeah, we are. Sitting down with her for a drink, we can use the information about her favorite band, the Elcor artist, and our own personal darkness to tempt her even more into hemorrhaging our brain. Morinth invites us back to her place, but we're not here for pleasure. Before Morinth can mind flay us, Samara bursts in and the family have a pretty epic duel, all while Shepard is just staring at them. The player does have the option of killing Samara and getting Morinth on our side, but I wasn't going to trust someone I just met. Plus, killing a Justicar probably meant that the Asaris would be on us fast.
End of the line, Morinth.
And they call me a monster.
Find peace in the embrace of the goddess.
Holy moly, that was brutal. Even Samara's soliloquy is heart-wrenching.
Do you want to talk about what happened?
Shepard, what do you think I will say? What can I say? I just killed the bravest and smartest of my daughters. There are no words. I will try another time. For now, show mercy on a broken old warrior and let us leave.
Back on the Normandy, we have a conversation with Thane, who reiterates that he's dying. I did enjoy Shepard always asking if we could help his ailment, but Thane says it's incurable. He does ask for our help with a familial problem. Oh boy, 2 in a row. Thane opens up to Shepard that he abandoned his family for his line of work, leaving his son with their aunt and uncle, hoping that Koliat wouldn't follow in Thane's assassination footsteps. But sometimes when you try really hard to influence something, it backfires, and Thane has gotten the information that his son has taken a hit job on the Citadel and wants to stop him before he completes his mission. Captain Bailey comes in clutch. Seriously, this guy helps us with everything without asking questions, and says that a Drell, the species Thane is, was seen talking to Mouse, a petty criminal messenger. There's this great brief detail we get on Mouse as Bailey calls him a former ducked rat, explaining that duck rats take on odd jobs like data running, fencing stolen goods, or selling illegal VI personalities. What really threw me was that these small criminals are usually children who grew up on the Citadel. Because they're kids, they're able to climb through the ventilation ducts where C-Sec can't get them, but not without incidents. Bailey says that every month or so they'll pull a body out because they either fell a long distance, chopped up by a ventilation fan, or suffocate. Jeez Louise. Mouse survived all of that, and since he is well connected in the criminal sphere, he'll probably know where Thane's son is, or at least who hired him for the job. Bailey also mentions one of the illegal VI personalities depicts Shepard, and we should ask Mouse about that. Shepard and Thane find Mouse outside one of the bars and shake him down for information. We do our typical shtick and get Mouse to give us the name of the person who hired Koliat, an Elias Kellum. From what Mouse tells us, Elias is a pretty bad dude, and the Citadel might be better off without him. We can also ask for our VI personality, but I never found a place to interact with it. Back with Bailey, we tell him who hired Koliat for the hit, but unfortunately the two have some sort of unsaid agreement. If Elias doesn't cause too much trouble, Bailey and C-Sec look the other way. Elias even buys tickets to the C-Sec charity ball for Bailey. Oh man, that's corruption 101. Bailey does agree to help us if he can play the ignorance card and tells Shepard that C-Sec will bring Elias into the interrogation room so we can have some quality time with him. Even though Elias's lawyer shows up 2 minutes after his detention, Bailey stalls for time, giving us one of my favorite choices in the game, whether we play good cop or bad cop. The interrogation commences, but Elias doesn't buy the performance, even though we are wearing this sick dragon armor. He's also smart enough not to confess to putting out a hit job while in C-Sec custody. I tried to be the good cop, but we weren't getting anywhere, so I had to switch characters.
I'm done being patient. Give me a name or I'll cut your balls off and sell them to a Krogan.
Alright, fucking quit it.
Elias confesses that the hit is for Joram Talid, a Turian running for political office down in the lower wards, but that's all we get since Elias's lawyer finally gets to his client. Bailey knows of Talid and his platform. Apparently he is very anti-human, but that doesn't mean that we'll leave him to be assassinated. The next portion isn't as riveting as I would have liked. We followed Talid and his bodyguard around the lower wards trying to spot Koliat, which took a while. There is this pretty funny interaction being spotted by one of the workers where Shepard poses as a Citadel health and safety inspector. Somehow we convince him while wearing this armor. Finally, we see Koliat's attempt on Talid's life and confront him before he can pull the trigger. This was part of some sort of B action movie scene. Shepard's Paragon move is to shoot the lamp next to Koliat and then punch him like he would knock some common sense into the kid's head. Thane and Koliat talk about his abandonment and not being there when his mother died. Even worse is that the mother was killed by people trying to get to Thane. Thane swore to get his revenge on those Triggermen, but that took so long that when Thane got back to Koliat, he was a grown Drell. Fearing to be a bad influence, Thane let Koliat go on his own, and we're here.
This isn't a conversation you should have in front of strangers. Boys, take Koliat and his father back to the precinct. Give them a room and as much time as they need.
You're doing him a favor, Bailey. Thanks.
Yeah, well, send me a Christmas card or something.
What a line. Christmas is canonical in this universe? Who would have guessed? Back at CSEC, Thane understands that years of neglect can't be solved in one sitting, and they'll keep talking and see what happens. I guess he didn't mention he's about to embark on a mission that will likely get him killed or that he's dying, but oh well. Next on the loyalty list is Tali, who has received a message from the Flotilla Admiralty Board accusing her of treason and requesting her presence for a trial. On the flotilla, Tali learns more of the charges, being accused of sending back operational Geth parts, which, knowing the Quarians, is not kosher. Tali denies doing this, saying all the parts she did send were neutralized, but something transpired on one of the research vessels that was working with her shipments. Talking with some of the other Quarians, I thought it was interesting that they kept calling her Tali Vas Normandy. I guess it's like human last names, but since Quarians primarily stay on their ships, their last name is defined by their vessel's ID. Being Vas Normandy seems like it makes sense from Shepard's perspective, but for Tali, it means that her community has ostracized her. We're also told that any accused Quarian that stands trial is defended by her ship's captain, aka us. Shepard wears many hats. We start the hearing and immediately get the sense that many on the Admiralty Board are not very happy with our presence or Tali's actions. Restating they're accusing her of bringing back operational Geth parts, going further and saying that Tali's father had been working on them, his research ship has been taken over, and everyone is presumably dead. Tali was not told about this until now, which is pretty messed up, and Shepard convinces the board that instead of blowing up the ship, that we can absolve Tali's infractions and possibly save her father by boarding the ship and destroying the Geth presence, something we're pretty good at. The board reluctantly accepts, and we're given a shuttle to head over and retake the ship. Arriving at the research vessel, we're welcomed by lots of Geth, but Tali is positive that everything she sent wouldn't be able to start the Geth cycle. As we continue through the ship, Tali starts to think that maybe her father had something to do with the resurrected Geth, but doesn't want to believe that until we find a data center confirming experiments on the Geth programming. Sadly, at the end of the ship, Tali finds her father dead and his last confession, showing how he bypassed security protocols for his research. Even though the evidence exonerates Tali from any wrongdoing, it does fully incriminate her father. Tali, worrying about her father's legacy, asked Shepard to destroy the evidence, and I came down a little hard on her. Why protect a dead person? Tali does explain that the board would erase his name from the history books and reducing him to a cautionary tale Quarians would tell their children. I did understand her willingness to try to protect her father, yet he did do all of this, and knowing that the Geth destroyed the Quarian homeworld, it seemed far more risky than intelligent. Despite my thinking, I did want Tali on my side, so back with the council, I played it the best I could. We hard deflect.
Please.
Does Captain Shepard have any new evidence to submit to this hearing?
Tali helped me defeat Saren and the Geth at the Citadel. That should be all the evidence you need. But if you want more, I can present the Normandy, which Tali also saved from Geth forces, even though it's too quiet for her to sleep well.
Tali is cleared of all charges without revealing her father's actions, and I chalk that up as a win-win. We got 2 more loyalty missions to go, and I'm pretty thankful that the collectors are just chilling for the time being. That's very sweet of them. Jack tells Shepard they were abducted at an early age by Cerberus and experimented with impunity to make Jack a superbiotic. Honestly, is there someone in this damn galaxy that hasn't been royally fucked with? With the files we gave Jack after the prison escape, which I thought I was bluffing about that, but whatever, Jack has found the coordinates of the facility they were raised in and wants to go back there and blow the place up. Alright, fair enough. This level design was excellent. If you've watched my channel before, you know I'm a sucker for secret laboratories in the rain, and this was footing the bill. Inside the facility, Jack recounts the terrors they faced as a child, like this fight pit the doctors would make the kids participate in. Jack oddly loved it and mentions it was the only time they were let out of their cell. Jack also mentions that they were the ones who started the riot that eventually led to the facility's demise, but holotapes we find around the facility seem to tell a different story. Another holotape sheds more light on the research, how their experiments on other biotically inclined subjects led to numerous children being expunged in order to protect Jack. Even worse, that after the facility went foobar, what was left of the researchers joined Alliance-funded programs. We're also not the only ones here, as Shepard and team encounter mercenaries in the next room that are taking orders from someone named Aresh. Dealing with the Blood Pack, we enter Jack's former cell and meet the gang leader. Aresh is another survivor from the facility and was experimented on so that they could perfect the tests used on Jack. He continues explaining that he hired the mercenaries to rebuild the facility and try to unlock his own superbiotic powers. He does shed light on Jack's childhood narrative. It wasn't Jack who started the riot, but the other children. The scientists would have killed them all if it wasn't for the fact that Jack did get loose and trying to protect their Wunderkind failed to reinstate order. Now, I will say in retrospect that a lot of these loyalty missions do seem similar. Someone from someone's past reappears, Shepard stops our squad member from murdering them or helps them, and past issues get resolved. I do think it works well in the game. I thoroughly enjoyed each experience while playing, but typing it all out after the fact does make them seem eerily similar. Shepard convinces Jack that Aresh can't restart the facility and that Jack needs to let go of their past in order to move forward. I did find it poignant that after letting Aresh leave, you can walk around Jack's cell where they describe the different memories associated with certain furniture or areas.
Sometimes I dream that I'm back in this bed being tortured. I used to tie the sheets around my wrists and try to rip them off. I want to stop coming back here.
After reminiscing, Jack still wants to blow this place to Kingdom Come. Shepard, there might not be any more humans living here, but that's a lot of wildlife to burn. I'm just saying. We're on our last loyalty mission, and funnily enough, it's for our first recruit, Zaeed. The premise of this mission is to liberate refinery workers from the Blue Suns mercenary group, but it turns out Zaeed wasn't as straightforward with us. Once Zaeed hears the voice of the head mercenary at the facility, we can question if he knows him. It turns out that Vito and Zaeed go back a long way, and it's not pretty. The pair started the Blue Suns group 20 years ago, but Vito staged a coup against Zaeed, almost killing him. Zaeed isn't here to rescue the workers, instead it's the first time since the coup that he's known Vito's location and wants revenge. In Zaeed's desperation to kill Vito, he starts a plant-wide disaster, destroying gas lines and causing the facility to go into a panic. The player has the option to go in on the revenge motive or try to save the workers that will inevitably die in the coming explosion. I wasn't a fan of being lied to and thought the workers didn't deserve to die because of one man's vendetta. Shepard convinces Zaeed to save the workers instead of chasing after Vito, but he's not happy about it. Shepard does manage to shut down the gas lines and avert a meltdown, but with the time it took to do so, Vito escapes and we get a Point Break reference. It's a great movie. Somehow Zaeed survives a huge chunk of metal landing on his leg and doesn't want to be a part of the mission until Shepard literally holds a gun to his head. What is going on? Yeah, that was a weird mission and probably worked better if I had done it much earlier in the game. Regardless, that's the last loyalty mission for now, and even though it ended on a whimper and not a bang due to my own choices, I still loved playing through them. The player gets so much more of the universe through the eyes of his squad members' stories, and having everyone loyal for what's about to come is imperative. Now back to the main mission. We still need to figure out a way to use the Omega-4 relay without it detecting we're not the Collectors or a Reaper. Remember that the Illusive Man found a derelict Reaper out in space, and within it we can salvage an IFF reader that will disguise the Normandy. The thing is, Cerberus already sent a science team to investigate the creature, but no one has heard from them since, which is not a great sign. This portion of the game gave me Dead Space vibes. There are recordings of the science crew still functional in certain terminals. Everything seems to be going well until they start talking like they're going crazy.
Katie had anger management issues. When my brother got married, the best man tried to hit on her. She kicked him down the church steps.
What? Katie's my wife. I must have told you this story.
No, I know my wife. I remember that day was the only time I saw her wear stockings.
Yeah, the kind with seams up the back. That's what I remember too.
What the hell is this? How can we remember the same thing?
The interior of the Reaper was intricate and off-putting in the best way possible. If you had told me we would be stepping into one of these things after Mass Effect 1, my hair would be sticking up, and this area does not disappoint. There are a lot of husks climbing out of the crevices, and then you stumble on this massive dragon's teeth field, the term used for the lancers Geth used to impale humans and turn them. Shepard hypothesizes that even though the Reaper is quote-unquote dead, its power of indoctrination is still functional, leading to the madness of the science team. In the next room we encounter something very odd, a Geth that saves Shepard from an ambush and even speaks some English.
Shepard, Commander.
Never heard of a Geth speaking to someone.
Shepard retrieves the IFF, but before we leave, we'll need to destroy the Reaper's core to prevent any more losses for unsuspecting researchers. In the next room, we see the Geth fiddling with the core. What they're doing, no idea, but they do unlock the door for us before being knocked out. I thought this was a pretty fun engagement. You have to defend against waves of enemies while also waiting for the core to open and deal damage to it. Being almost max level, our squad of Garrus and Miranda shined, and with some well-placed shots, the core is kaput. We do have the option to save the Geth that helped us, and even though we just saw what they could do to the research vessel on the Quarian flotilla, I was making choices like I was in an improv class. Always say yes. Safely back on the Normandy, Shepard, Jack, and Miranda have an argument over activating the Geth. Miranda rightly acknowledges that if we do activate it and it's not friendly, it could corrupt the whole ship within seconds and our mission would be done. There is also the debate on what to do about the IFF. EDI says there is a chance that including the IFF in her systems might pose an even greater security risk, but what choice do we have? Now, this is a part of the game where I scratched my head a bit. I think the developers thought that you might have another loyalty mission or two before activating the IFF, so when Miranda says the whole squad is on the shuttle waiting for us and just leave, it didn't really make sense to me. What mission was she talking about? It does lead to another curveball that I applaud the game for implementing. While Shepard and the whole damn team are off on this random mission, Joker is the ranking officer and something is happening with EDI and the ship. Integrating the IFF has had the unintentional side effect of sending out a coordinate transmission of our location straight to the Collectors, who come to collect. With the primary defense systems offline to the system hack, Joker has to manually turn them back on by overriding the AI constraints within EDI's operating room. Even though this is just Joker walking around the ship, I still enjoyed the sequence. It was visceral seeing the crew be taken or killed right in front of us with no way to fight back. They probably got Kelly as well. Maybe I'm not so torn up about that one. There was also this nice visual detail showing Joker's progression throughout the ship, and he eventually reaches EDI's physical location, giving her access to the ship's defenses and movement system. Joker, Edie, and the ship are saved, but the whole crew has been taken. We are informed that the virus from the IFF is cleared and we're able to use the Omega-4 relay, but damn, does it feel weird to walk around and not have anyone on board. Kelly. Before we embark on our journey to the center of the galaxy, Shepard decides on activating the Geth being held in the AI core because why not? What else could go wrong? The conversation with Legion, yeah, that's his name, is wild. Legion considers other Geth heretics because he believes true Geth have the power to self-determination, while the others, or heretics, choose the Reapers to design their prerogative. Because Shepard is against the Reapers and Legion is too, an unlikely alliance might transpire. Legion tells Shepard that the Reapers have a virus specifically for the Geth, causing them to worship the Reapers and start a war with organics, sort of like indoctrination. Legion was on the derelict Reaper trying to find the code the Reapers used on the heretics and negate it. But I was a little confused since aren't the Geth already aligned with the Reapers? Like, didn't this virus already consume the Geth population? Regardless, Legion says that if they could reach the heretics' headquarters station, that they could stop the virus from spreading more and save the remaining Geth from falling into Reaper control. Alright, one more loyalty mission. You got me, Legion. Arriving on the Heretic station, Legion poses two options. Destroy the whole entire transmission station so that the heretical Geth can't communicate with each other, or repurpose the virus for our own means, making them subservient to our bidding. Garrus does say out loud what I was thinking. How would that be any different to the indoctrination?
If we do not rewrite them, we destroy them. That is why we are here. Do not hesitate now. They will exterminate your species because their gods tell them to. You cannot negotiate with them. They do not share your pity, remorse, or fear.
Well, that's one way to look at it. Shepard and team fight through hundreds of Geth, defend Legion while he hacks into the transmission terminal, and finally have to decide on whether to switch the virus to our side or destroy the whole entire thing. I did question Legion about the possibility of the Reapers just changing the code again and redoing the whole virus to heretic thing, but he convincingly says that once they upload the new one, they can destroy its archetype and the Geth will be one once more. Even though I had a problem with the whole virus spreading through a whole species, or this time machines, I knew there was a fight to come and having Geth on our side might tip the tides of the battle with the Reapers. With that, the redone virus is transmitted through FTL channels and will hopefully end the Reaper's control over the machines. Getting back to the Normandy, we're not done with hard choices, as Tali has confronted Legion about him preparing to send a message to the Geth about the Quarian flotilla. Oh my god. Luckily, now that we've maxed out our Paragon dialogue, we convince Legion not to send the data because it would cause another devastating war for both the Quarians and Geth, which he computes. And Tali offers some non-classified data for him to use. Hopefully she doesn't have to go back to the Admiralty board for that. With every character now loyal, our ship upgraded. Yeah, I spent about 30 minutes probing planets and getting our armor and weapons souped up. We're told that we're at the fulcrum point. Plotting course to the Omega Relay will be our last galaxy map choice, and I was ready for it. I'm sure you are too at this point.
Brace for deceleration.
Ah, shit! Too close.
If you're not impressed with this, I don't know what to say. This is epic. The Collector homeworld is littered with destroyed ships that have made the same journey we're on now. Joker even says that some of them look like they're hundreds of thousands of years old. The Normandy is attacked by Collector drones, and Miranda has a line about the new armor we picked up. I wonder what happens if you didn't upgrade the Normandy. The Collectors are doing a ton of damage to the ship, but Shepard defends the cargo hold from a new enemy type called the Oculus, and we show the Collectors we're up for round 2.
Time to show our new teeth. Fire the main gun.
How do you like that, you sons of bitches?
Get in close and finish him off.
Everybody hold on, gonna be a wild ride! Give him hell, girl.
Look out!
Mass Effect field generators are offline. EDI, give me something!
Generators unresponsive. All hands brace for impact.
Joker gets the Normandy situated on the Collector base, but a lot of the systems are malfunctioning, and getting back through the relay might not be in our future. Shepard has the ability to choose different companions for specific tasks like infiltrating the ship, and with all of that set, off we go. This was an enjoyable moment because it felt like it was well worth it to finish off all the loyalty missions and collect the full crew. And we needed them fighting more hordes of collectors trying to reach the main core. Going into this, we've been told it will be our final mission, but I wasn't ready to lose people. I have to hand it to the developers though, I never thought I would mourn a Geth dying.
The door has malfunctioned. Path blocked. Complete.
Here they come! Close the doors!
The mechanism is jammed.
Suppressing fire! Cover them!
Critical.
Legion!
Shepard and team discover what's left of the Normandy's crew trapped in the Collector's harvesters, including the Doctor, who recalls the horrors they've witnessed while imprisoned. From what she can infer, the Collectors were melting the humans down into a genetic paste and pumping the solution into the control room right above us. Yeah, saying it out loud gave me the shivers. We need to figure out what the Collectors have been using the genetic goo for, but to access that area of the ship, we'll need to go through the insect swarms. Unfortunately, at their condensed volume, Mordin's countermeasure system we've been using won't be sufficient. Samara volunteers herself to create a biotic barrier to traverse the room, and we send Grunt back with the Doctor and the other survivors to the Normandy. Seeing Samara's powerful biotic field protecting us from the swarms was frickin' awesome, and even though it was slow to get past all the enemies, we eventually made it through. Reaching the penultimate room, Shepard has to decide who's going with him to the control center and who will hold the line to protect them. Hold the line. Kirhi. Speaking of that crazy Solarian, Shepard dabbles in a heroic speech.
The Collectors, the Reapers, they aren't a threat to us. They're a threat to everything. Everyone. Those are the lives we're fighting for. That's the scale. It's been a long journey, and no one's coming out without scars. But it all comes down to this moment. We win or lose it all in the next few minutes. Make me proud. Make yourselves proud.
Well said. Let's go finish this.
What was waiting for our characters wasn't on my bingo card. EDI radios us that she's run the diagnostic of the Collector's system and that they're feeding the genetic goop into a superstructure that is emitting both organic and non-organic energy signatures. Well, the Collectors have been trying to make this. Alright, pause. A human reaper? What the fuck does that even mean? EDI tries to explain it that the Collectors have been using abducted humans' genetics as a building block to build this abomination, but from her calculations, they'll need millions and millions more. She continues saying that the Collectors are trying to reproduce Reapers, and wow, this makes vat-grown Krogan look like a walk in the park. The last thing EDI mentions is that the Collectors did not come up with this on their own, so I'm guessing that the project lead is the Reapers themselves. It was also interesting that EDI thinks that different species construct each Reaper, and maybe that's why the Reapers do this whole 50,000 year harvesting to make new ones out of the new life that's born. But Shepard and EDI's conversation can't last forever, and the Collectors attack. Sorry, I just wanted to take one photo for the picture book. We destroy the genetic injection tubes, wow, say that 3 times fast, and watch the human Reaper fall. With the protection team on their last legs, Shepard calls Joker to tell them we're setting up the bomb and to be ready to get the hell out of here, but there's someone that wants to talk to us first. Joker patches the Illusive Man through, and this is the only time that the tables have turned. He's the hologram and we're in the physical plane. I thought that was a neat contrast. The Illusive Man tries to convince Shepard that instead of blowing the place up, that we could switch the bomb into an EMP, killing the remaining Collectors but leaving the machinery and technology intact. But that would save the Reaper-human hybrid and whatever other atrocities this place held. Knowing what I do about Cerberus after all the missions, codex files, and hints the game was giving, there is no way in hell I was trusting the Illusive Man with any of this. Miranda even follows us, giving her 2 weeks notice, and with the bomb set, we gotta run like hell. Oh, I knew this thing would come back like a Dark Souls boss. The Reaper human larva, as it's called, wow, another spine shiver, isn't the best boss we've encountered, more so a DPS check oddly at the end of the game, but the spectacle is thrilling. Shepard, Miranda, and Garrus survive the Reaper human's demise and escape within this cutscene as the collector that takes over bodies, the one we saw on Horizon, does this monologue all about how we haven't changed a thing and doom is coming. Yeah, I've heard that one before. Shepard makes this epic leap as we see the Harbinger, without subtitles I would not have known this main collector's name, saying he is releasing control with a Reaper projection on his computer and subsequently gets deep fried. The Normandy escapes the blast and has seen better days, but that doesn't stop Shepard from talking with the Illusive Man one more time.
Shepard, you're making a habit of costing me more than time and money.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you. I'm getting a lot of bullshit on this line.
Yeah, that's my captain. Shepard breaks up with Cerberus and we see the crew transporting back the bodies of the fallen. Suddenly, it cuts to the Reaper armada that should have still been dormant in deep space waking up and heading to our galaxy. Excuse me? I'm going to let the credits roll, but how did they awaken? I thought the Citadel had to relay the signal in order to wake the Reapers. If it was just the collectors that could do that at any moment, why did they not do it right after the signal failed and Saren couldn't work the manual one? This confused the hell out of me, and it made me wonder if I had missed something in our attack on the collector's ship. I assumed while writing and viewing the footage that it was the Harbinger who said releasing control, but why wouldn't they do that any time before getting blown up? Hopefully this will be addressed in the third game, but those questions didn't sour my experience at all with Mass Effect 2. This was one of my favorite games I've played in a while, and I truly think it's a perfect sequel. A perfect game is subjective, but with sequels you know when they accomplish something greater than their first iteration. From the combat enhancements to the story, side characters and squad members' narratives, fulfilling worlds and addictive mechanics, Mass Effect 2 could do so much more than the first game, while also being a true continuation of the galaxy we fell in love with. Mass Effect 2 adds pages to an already thick book with nuance and intrigue, setting up for a third game that I've only heard bad things about, which kind of scares me more than a Reaper invasion. Joking aside, I'm tentatively curious about what went right and wrong for Mass Effect 3. I never played 2 before this retrospective because I was very influenced by the community's backlash at 3's conclusion and just didn't think it was worth it, which was wrong. Even if I never heard the specific justification, only that the ending was a train wreck, I'm going to make that judgment for myself now. Well, if you're still here, I appreciate you with all my heart. Thank you for taking this long journey with me, and if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe if you aren't, all that YouTube jazz. It helps out immensely with the channel, so thank you. I'd love to hear your experience playing through Mass Effect 2, if you think it's a perfect sequel as well, if you think it's a bad game. Whatever your opinion is, it's always awesome to read and start a dialogue. And I hope this finds you well. Until next time, talk soon.